A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
The Anchor Hawking Glass Corporation brings you Crime Photographer.
Hiya, Casey.
Hi.
Look, here comes Tony.
Hiya, Tony.
Hiya, Casey.
You're going to give us that famous line of yours?
Well, I'm here to tell you that tomorrow begins a week dedicated to one of America's most famous institutions, the Boy Scouts of America.
They deserve our full support.
Right, Ethelbert. And since you've done your good deed for the day, Tony, suppose you proceed.
All right, Casey, I will. Anchor Hawking is the most famous name in glass. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Tony Marvin. Every week at this time, the Anchor Hawking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, and its more than 10,000 employees bring you another adventure of Casey, crime photographer, ace cameraman who covers the crime news of a great city. Written by Alonzo Dean Cole, our adventure for tonight, Music to Die By. 9:30 in the evening. In the cheaply furnished living room of a small, cheap apartment, a woman, rather pretty in a drab way, is darning socks. Her husband holds a magazine that he obviously isn't reading. In an apartment above, a radio is loudly tuned in on a dance band. Finally, the woman turns.
That music bother you, dear?
Huh?
Betty Welch is home.
Yeah?
We always know when we hear that radio upstairs.
I hadn't noticed.
No? You haven't read a word in that magazine since you turned it on.
I'm thinking.
Well, why don't you go to bed since you've got a tough day tomorrow?
Fine, Sleepy. Why don't you hit the hay? You've got to get up early for your job.
Oh, I wouldn't get any rest with that radio going over my head.
I'll go upstairs and ask Miss Welch to tune it down.
Oh, what's the use, Howard? She wouldn't do it. And according to Lisa's here, she's entitled to play it until 10 o'clock, and it's only a little after 8:30.
That's so.
Very good-looking gal, Miss Welch.
Yeah. Not bad.
She's caused a lot of jealousy in this building.
So you told me.
Well, all husbands aren't like you, Howard. Some of them around here have been giving that blonde upstairs quite a play.
You hear that stuff from Mrs. Bloomington. That old dame across the hall does nothing but gossip.
Mrs. Bloomington isn't the only one.
Yeah. Look, Ada, I'm pretty restless. I won't be able to sleep unless I get a walk and maybe a couple of beers. I think I'll walk down to Eddie's Tavern and back.
Okay, but before you go, Howard, call up the super and tell him to fix that radiator.
Radiator?
The one in the kitchen.
The super won't fix radiators. Now it's too late.
He will if you ask him. You can get most anything out of John. Call him on the house phone now.
Okay.
I'll go across the hall and get Mrs. Bloomington to stay with me while you're out and the super's here.
What do you want to do that for?
I have a sense of the proprieties, Howard.
Proprieties? Nuts. Hello, super. Hiya, John. This is Howard Clinton, apartment 4B. John, the radiator in the kitchen doesn't work. Can you come up and fix it? Well, I know it's late, John, but be a pal, huh? Yeah. Swell. Thanks a million, fella. Long.
Good evening, Mr. Clinton.
Hi, Miss Bloomington.
Did you get the super, Howard?
Yeah, you'll be right up.
I knew he'd do it for you.
I'll stay here with your wife, Mr. Clinton, so you needn't worry.
Thanks, Miss Bloomington. Somebody might kidnap her if she was alone.
They might. She's very pretty.
You see, I have one admirer, Howard.
Yeah. I'll get my hat and coat.
Don't close your door when you go out. I'm leaving mine across the hall open, of course. So if if my poor husband needs me, he can call, and I'll be sure to hear him.
How is your husband, Miss Bloomington?
Oh, just the same. He'll never be anything but an invalid tied to his bed. That music above distresses him so, but you can't demand that Betty Welch woman turn it off before 10 o'clock, I suppose.
No. Ada, I'll just have a few beers and come right home.
Don't hurry.
See you later, Miss Bloomington. So long.
So long, Mr. Kenton. Don't close the door.
Oh, sure. I won't be long.
Ada, dear, I don't know how you can stand the horrible radio of that horrible woman, Betty Welch, right over your apartment.
Just a minute. Oh, you did manage to get away, huh?
Yeah. Hello, Betty.
Hello.
You're alone, I see.
Huh, did you expect to find me with a place full of company? You're the most jealous fellow I ever met.
Because I'm so crazy about you.
Take off your overcoat.
Oh, yeah. Thanks.
Have any trouble getting away?
I had to go all the way downstairs and then come up the back way tonight. Oh, Mrs. Bloomington's with Ada, so of course both doors are open.
You sure nobody saw you?
Sure. Hey, what guy's been up here with you?
God.
Look at this ashtray. You don't smoke cigars, do you?
Look, a fella and his girlfriend came home with me last night, and I forgot to empty the ashtray they used. That's all.
Fellow with his girlfriend, huh?
Sure. Come on, I got music on for dancing. How about it?
Let's go.
Hey, I want to dance, not have the wind squeezed out of me.
When I get you in my arms, Betty, I don't care what...
Cut it. Behave yourself.
Okay.
That's better. Nice, ain't it?
So nice I never want to let you go. Never want another guy to hold you close like this.
Stick to your dancing, big boy.
Yeah. Who was the mug who left them cigar butts here?
A very nice fellow. I like him.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm. I can marry him if I want to.
You can, huh?
Mm-hmm. He's a good dancer, too. Like you.
Miss Welch, open your door. Miss Welch, this is John the Super. It's after 10 o'clock and everybody in the house is complaining about your radio.
The woman doesn't even answer him, She's probably gone out of his room and forgot to...
Miss Welch!
You're just wasting your breath, John. Use your pass key and open that door.
Yeah, I guess I got him, Miss
Well, if you don't, nobody will ever get any sleep.
Yeah, I'll go in and turn that thing off, Mrs. Clinton, right now. I tell her... Holy!
What is it?
What's the matter?
Look!
Oh, that girl!
And my husband.
There's a pistol beside him.
Come away. I called the police. I think the two of them are dead.
We homicide guys got here, Miss Williams. That radio is still blasting away.
And what did you find, Captain Logan?
Well, the girl, Betty Welch, has been shot at close range through the forehead. She died instantly. The guy, as so often happens in these murder and suicide ideas, didn't aim so good at himself. He only creased the side of his skull.
He's alive then, Logan?
He's hardly hurt, Casey. Just knocked himself out for a while.
Have you questioned him yet?
Oh, plenty. And he's talked plenty.
He admits he killed the gal and then tried to bump himself off?
No, he denies that. But he admits he was crazy about the girl and very jealous of her. And also, the murder gun's been identified as his, and the old dermal nitrate test shows that he fired a gun sometime today.
Well, everything's over for him then, except the hot seat.
I wish all the cases I get were as easy to crack.
Yeah, well, where is the guy? I want some pictures of him.
He was taken down to headquarters just before you got here. But the murder gun's on that table. You probably want a shot of that.
Oh, yeah. German Luger, huh?
Yeah. This Howard Clinton brought it back from the war as a souvenir. He's an ex-GI.
Ex-GI, huh? Give me some more dope about him for my story, Captain. What do you do for a living?
Why, he's a foreman at the big Adolphi greenhouses, a nurseryman and plant specialist.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, was he on the job today, Logan?
Yeah?
Captain Logan, tell me.
Excuse me a minute, Annie.
Yeah.
Well, since he denies the killing, Logan, how does he explain it?
He doesn't. He says something hit him and he blacked out, which isn't a very good story.
Your fingerprint guys went over his gun first thing.
Naturally. The gun was clean.
It's a little unusual for a guy to attempt suicide and then clean the fingerprints off his gun.
It would be most unusual if we hadn't found an initial handkerchief belonging to Clinton on the floor near the gun. For some reason, maybe he didn't intend to commit suicide at first, he had that Luger wrapped in a handkerchief when he used it, and the handkerchief showed a positive in the nitrate test.
Yeah, well, Logan, he worked in a greenhouse where he handles fertilizers that show the same reaction in a dermal nitrate test that gunpowder does. You have no proof that Clinton did this killing.
Look, I figured that fertilizer angle, Casey. Now, listen, amateur. It's Clinton all the way, because nobody could have gotten out of this apartment after the killing.
No?
No. This is the only apartment on the top floor here, and there's no outside fire escape. And nobody could have gone downstairs after Clinton came to Betty Welch's apartment without being seen.
Why?
Because Clinton's wife in the apartment below had her door wide open. She and another woman, Mrs. Bloomington, sat facing the front stairs, and they're positive nobody came down.
How about the back stairs?
Now, Mrs. Bloomington's husband's an invalid. His door was wide open, and he had a full view of the back stairs from his bed. He saw Clinton sneaking up them, but he saw nobody coming down.
Huh? I guess that settles that, Casey.
Well, witnesses aren't always reliable, Annie.
I'll give you 10 to 1 that the Bloomingtons are reliable.
You talk that kind of odds, my pockets are lined with fish hooks.
Yeah.
Just the same, I want to meet the Bloomingtons.
Yeah, you'll find them downstairs. Go ahead. Get acquainted.
Take care of them customers down the bar, Walter. Excuse me, Miss Williams. You were saying about that Mr. and Mrs. Bloomington?
Oh, to Casey's discomfort, Ethelbert.
Yeah?
They proved unimpeachable witnesses.
Go right ahead, Annie. Rub it in.
I'm going to. Mrs. Bloomington and her husband are terribly respectable, law-abiding people. And the last thing they'd do would be to lie about anything connected with a murder.
I sized them up as okay.
This Howard Clinton's goose is cooked then, huh?
Yeah, but Miss Williams and I have been talking to him down at headquarters, Ethelbert. He's a big, strong-looking bozo who talks straight. I just can't see him killing a woman and then trying to kill himself.
Huh. He didn't talk very straight to his wife.
Well, after meeting his wife, I don't blame him for sneaking up to see that blonde.
What's the matter with Mrs. Clinton? I thought she was quite good-looking.
Oh, Annie, wait a minute. Looks aren't what count in women after you marry them. I know something about women, and I don't trust her.
How do you know so much about women and marriage?
Well, Annie, look. If you haven't suspected it as yet, we press photographers see you women at your best and your worst.
Which is the reason you remain a bachelor?
Which is the reason I remain a press photographer.
Huh.
Well, I know what Casey means, Miss Williams. It's the same with us bartenders. We meet so many phony dames that a guy gets afraid afraid of all the gals who ain't just like you, Miss Williams.
I see.
Getting back to the subject, this Mrs. Clinton had plenty of motive to shoot that blonde and try to shoot her husband, Casey.
I think she had plenty of motive for the killing, but she didn't have the opportunity.
Mrs. Bloomington was with her when Betty Welch was killed. So was the superintendent of the apartment house. Ada Clinton couldn't have done the job.
Nobody could have, but Clinton himself, apparently. Say, Annie, tomorrow morning, let's talk to Mrs. Bloomington again.
A short while ago, the Anchor Hocking Laboratories perfected a beautiful new material, lovely as century-old jade green Chinese porcelain, and as strong and heat-proof as the Fire King oven glass you use for baking. They called it jadeite. Expert designers used jadeite to achieve a new beauty in dinnerware. And today, jadeite dinnerware costs far less than the most ordinary dishes. Now, I know it sounds incredible, but it's true. You can buy a beautiful 35-piece jadeite dinner service for less than $5. Yes, less than $5 for 6 jadeite cups, 6 saucers, 6 dessert dishes, 6 salad plates, 6 dinner plates, 1 large vegetable bowl, a platter, and a sugar and creamer set. And jadeite dinnerware can also be purchased in open stock. Now, you'll find beautiful jadeite dinnerware at chain stores, department stores, hardware stores, and most other stores selling chinaware and glass. Ask for Jadeite by name. Jadeite. 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 The newest triumph of anchor hocking. The most famous name in glass.
Have another cup of tea, Miss Williams?
No, thanks, Mrs. Bloomington. 3 is my limit.
You have another, Mr. Casey.
Sure, Mrs. Bloomington. Yeah, I just love tea.
The moment I first met you, I said to myself, there's a fellow tea drinker. Now, what were you saying, Mr. Casey? I remember. I was telling you about poor, dear Ada Clinton asking me to come across the hall to her apartment last night because her husband was going out and John Felix, our superintendent, was coming up to fix the kitchen radiator.
Yeah.
Well, I just love dear Ada, so I dropped everything and went over with her. She's silly. The super is in her place often, and she's never asked for a chaperone before.
Often?
Casey.
Oh, no, don't mix it. Ooh, what I'm saying with you. Because a little girl like Ada could have no personal interest in such a complex John Felix.
Well, what did Felix do to their radiator last night, huh?
Replaced an air valve, he said.
How long did that take?
He was out in the Clinton's kitchen from a little after 9:30 until after 10, when that Welch girl's radio should have been shut off.
At least half an hour.
Yes.
Well, could you see him working out in the kitchen?
No, but it was there.
Huh? Well, Mrs. Bloomington, this has been a delightful visit, but Miss Williams and I must go.
Not before we have another cup of tea, Mr. Casey.
Tea?
You'd like it so much.
No more tea, Mrs. Bloomington. No more tea.
If we're caught doing this,
Wait a minute. Mrs. Clinton isn't home this afternoon, honey, and nobody's prowling around the halls yet. There. Swung the lock on her door. Come on in quick.
No, okay. I can't expect to find anything in the kitchen.
I don't expect to find anything, Annie. I really want to see the layout. Come in there with me. The slowest mechanic in the world couldn't use up half an hour replacing an air valve. Setup is perfect, kid.
What do you mean?
Kitchen step ladder here. Look out this window, Annie.
A window box.
Yeah. Wide strong. By placing the kitchen ladder on the window box, he can climb outside and easily pull himself through the window above, which is Betty Welch's kitchen.
Clinton and the Welch girl wouldn't have heard him with that radio blaring if it was.
No. He could have gone to the living room above and fired 2 shots with Clinton's Luger that Ada had given him wrapped in an initial handkerchief of her husband, and thinking that he'd killed both Clinton and the gal when he saw them fall, he could have dropped the gun and handkerchief beside their bodies and come back here the same way he went up, while Ada was establishing a swell alibi for him and for herself with Mrs. Bloomington.
Felix and Ada Clinton are in love? Is that it?
No. Oh, no. That Ada Clinton couldn't be in love with anybody. Say, wait a minute, Anne. She's the beneficiary of a $10,000 insurance policy on her husband's life.
No, that came out when Captain Logan questioned her. Didn't mean anything to him or to us then because she seemed an impossible suspect.
Wait a minute. It's veterans insurance, Annie. GI insurance she has.
Well, so what? You've got a theory and she has GI insurance. It doesn't prove a thing against either her or John Felix.
I think it shows me a way to get proof. Thank you very much for letting me take more pictures of you, Mrs. Clinton.
And for this second interview. You're quite welcome, Miss Williams, Mr. Casey. Frankly, it isn't easy for me to talk to newspaper people or to anyone at this time. We appreciate your state of mind, Mrs. Clinton. I don't think you really can. My husband's going to be executed for murder.
He carried life insurance for you, Mrs. Clinton.
Veterans insurance, $10,000.
Only veterans insurance.
That's so.
Too bad.
Why do you say that?
Well, most people don't thoroughly read insurance policies, you know. Or if they do, they forget the provision. Have you been like that, Mrs. Clinton?
I don't understand what you mean.
Well, it's my understanding of the GI policy that if your husband is executed for a crime, you get nothing. Did you know that?
No.
You've had a bad deal all around, Mrs. Clinton. I hope your luck changes. Well, let's go, Annie.
Goodbye, Mrs. Clinton. Goodbye. Well, she's doing some hard thinking right now, Casey.
There she is. Annie, Logan and 2 detectives are all set up in the next apartment with microphones. They've also bored peepholes in the wall. Let's join them and watch and listen.
What do you think, Casey?
All she did was read her husband's GI policy. Also what looked from here like another insurance policy, and then typed a letter or something, which she just folded and put on the table.
You know, the way she typed that letter or something puzzles me, Casey. The gal holds down an expert stenographer's job, but she used the old Hunt and Peck system.
Yeah, that's right. It's funny, isn't it?
You couldn't see anything of what she wrote, of course.
No. Uh-oh. She's at the house telephone.
And that means a call to Felix.
Well, at least I'll be able to hear when she talks. You 2 men can't hog the earful. Hello, John.
There she is.
Can you come up right away? Oh, of course it's safe, dear. Dear? Hurry, I want to see.
Casey, I'm afraid your hunch is going to make good.
Forbit says it does, pal.
It's a bet, Piker. She may be merely romancing with this John. Neither may have had anything to do with the murder.
There's the doorbell.
Now we'll see.
You 2 will see. I'll only hear. Hello, John.
My beautiful Ada.
Close the door.
Yeah. You think it's all right for me to be up here now? Some of those policemen might be watching us.
Why should they be watching us, honey? We haven't done anything.
Casey?
That anybody knows of.
That Logan?
Oh, shut up and listen.
Yeah, you're right. I'm just nervous for no reason.
Well, don't be nervous. Anyway, John, if we were watched, you'd come up here to fix a window for me, one that's hard to open.
Yeah. Give me a kiss, my beautiful Ada.
The gal didn't say no. You really love me, John.
I am crazy for you.
Would you put that in writing?
In writing?
Yes, I've been thinking. I've never had a love letter from you.
Because we see each other every day.
Hey, what's this mush leading up to?
It would take so long
Just
to
write
write.
a short one, John. Get out your pen and write it on the back of this old letter.
Hey, that's the folded paper we saw her type, Casey.
Yeah.
What shall I write, my darling?
Just, I love you, Ada.
All right. You are such a funny woman. I never understand you. There. You've wrote, I love you, Ada.
Aren't you going to sign it?
Oh, sure.
Write your full name. John Felix. It'll look better. I like it.
Yeah, there you are. Anything else?
No. This will do very nicely.
Casey, I don't get this.
Over my head, pal.
Now, for my love letter, I want another kiss.
Oh, wait, dear. There is something else I want you to do for me. I wasn't kidding about a window being hard to open. It's that one, John. Will you fix it for me?
Yeah, sure, all right. It don't work hard.
Well, lift it clear to the top.
It slides easy.
Oh, that's funny. Maybe something catches it sometimes from outside. Lean out and look.
All right,
She pushed him, Casey. He's falling.
Out of the window?
I get the idea of that love letter stuff now, Logan.
So do I. And now I'm getting that dame. I've got a key to her apartment, so we'll walk right in. Hello, Mrs. Clinton.
Captain Logan.
I believe a man just fell out of your window.
Oh, Captain, it was John, the superintendent, Captain. He didn't fall. He deliberately jumped.
Tell us about it.
Well, he came up here a while ago acting strangely and asked if he could use my typewriter. I said yes, of course, and he sat down and typed something on this paper that he signed, folded up and handed to me. Then he raised that window. Horrible.
Naturally, you hadn't had a chance to read the paper he handed you.
No, Mr. Casey, take it. Captain, you read it.
I imagine it'll be John Felix's confession of the murder of Betty Welch. Don't you, Logan?
I think so, Casey. Together with a declaration by Felix that he's about to commit suicide.
What? Why do you say that?
In appreciation of the act you just put on, Mrs. Clinton, I'm making you a present of these bracelets. You're under arrest for murder.
We'll join the crowd at the Blue Note in just a moment. You know, physicians who specialize in baby care agree that diet is the most important factor in a baby's health. Today, with the many varieties of scientifically prepared, ready-to-serve baby foods, it's simple for mothers to supply nourishing, well-balanced meals without spending long hours in the kitchen. But there's another factor almost as important as food itself, and that is cleanliness. For this reason, if for no other, you should insist, yes, insist, on prepared baby foods packed in sterile, crystal-clear glass jars. Glass has no harmful effect whatsoever on food, either before or after the container has been opened. The baby food you buy in an Anchor glass container, sealed with an Anchor vacuum cap, is as clean as that prepared in a hospital. Convenient Anchor glass containers, used by most of the better packers of prepared baby foods, and easy to open, easy to reseal Anchor caps, are products of Anchor Hocking. The most famous name in glass.
So the Clinton dame made a full confession, huh, Casey?
What else could she do under the circumstances, Ethelbert?
Ada Clinton persuaded Felix to kill her husband while he was visiting Betty Welch, and they could provide themselves with beautiful alibis. Felix did the job as Casey figured, but of course he bungled it by not shooting Clinton as thoroughly as he shot the girl.
The general result looked okay to Felix and his beautiful Ada, though. But it seemed certain that Clinton would get the chair.
It stopped looking okay when Mrs. Clinton found out she couldn't collect that insurance,
That's
huh?
right. Well, this sap Felix was so crazy about Mrs. Clinton that he'd taken out insurance for her.
At her suggestion.
Oh, sure. So she decided that since she couldn't profit by the death of her husband, he was convicted of a crime, she'd free him and cash in on Felix. So she picked out that letter on her typewriter in imitation of Felix's way of speech.
The letter said he'd killed Betty Welch and was going to kill himself.
Yeah. And Mrs. Clinton folded it so he couldn't see what was typed when he signed his name to the thing.
Say, she's a real bad woman.
Boy, I haven't met him any worse. Hey, wait a minute. That doggone Logan.
What's the matter with Logan?
Well, he didn't pay me that 4 bits.
Oh, Ethelbert, we forgot to tell you. They're showing some of Casey's pictures at the Photography on Parade exhibit at Rockefeller Center.
Well, gee, maybe I'll get over to see him tomorrow night.
Fine. Oh, we'll all go together. You'll be in distinguished company, my dear fellow.
Crime Photographer, starring Stotts Cotsworth as Casey, is brought to you each Thursday by the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation, makers of Fire King Oven Glass, Anchor Glass Containers, Anchor Caps and Closures. All products of Anchor Hocking, the most famous name in glass. Crime Photographer is directed by John Deese and is based on the fictional character of Flash Gun Casey, created by George Harmon Cox. Original music is by Archie Blyer, and the program features Miss Jan Miner as Anne and John Gibson as Ethelbert. Herman Chittison is the Blue Note pianist. This is Tony Marvin saying goodnight for the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, with offices in all principal cities of the United States and Canada. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System. the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation brings you Crime Photographer.
What do you know? The Valentines are coming in already. And here's one addressed to man's best friend.
Well, that must be for you, Ethelbert.
And here's one addressed to a great snooper.
And that must be for you, Casey.
And here's one addressed to the most famous announcer, the man you can always count on.
I wonder who that could be.
I wonder.
Oh, I get it. They mean you can always count on me to say, Anchor Hocking, the most famous name in glass. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Tony Marvin. Every week at this time, the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, and its more than 10,000 employees bring you another adventure of Casey, crime photographer, ace cameraman who covers the crime news of a great city. Our adventure for tonight, Key Witness. Night, and a most unpleasant night. Dark, windy, damply cold. Snow is falling, the kind of snow that turns to wet gray slush as it strikes the ground, and then in spots turns to a treacherous film of ice. On an almost deserted highway, far out on the city's fringes, a car moves cautiously over the slippery pavement. In the car are...
Had to be our luck to draw an out-of-town assignment on a day like this, Casey.
Yeah, the day part of it wasn't so bad as just coming back at night. I'm not familiar enough with this road. I can't see.
Well, Casey, there's a big electric sign just ahead. I think it's on a roadhouse. If it is, let's pull up and have a cup of
Oh, we certainly will. A warmer-upper is something both of us need.
I can make out the sign now. 5-Spot Cafe.
That's for us. That's for us.
5-Spot Cafe. Seems I've heard of the place.
Yeah, the name's kind of familiar to me, too, but I can't remember. Well, I guess we drive in here, huh?
Yeah, there's a big parking spot.
Yeah. Good spot for our bus right here. About as near as we can get to the main door, I guess. Well, I'll come around and help you out, Annie.
No, don't bother. I can make it. You have cameras inside. Don't forget to lock up.
Yeah, I won't.
Casey, doesn't some racketeer run a place like the 5-Spot?
Hey, wait a minute. That's right, kid. You got it. This is Shark Yardley's headquarters. I've known the rat for years. Never been out to this joint, though. Well, I've never heard of him selling poison food, so I guess this place is as good as any other on a night like this. All right, we're all locked up. Come on.
Uh-oh. Electric signs just went out.
Oh, nuts. It's the only light we had out here, too.
I can't see 10 feet in front of me.
Now, wait a minute. I got a pencil flashlight in my inside pocket. Stand back in the car, Annie, out of the wind while I dig it out.
Yeah.
Careful with him, Pete. Oh, not being careful. Which is our car? I can't see.
Yeah, I know where it is. Let's get a minute and get going.
All right.
Someone else is having a little trouble in the dark, Casey.
More than we're having. You see that drunk those two guys had between them?
They passed close enough for that. He could hardly stand. They were practically dragging him along.
Well, he wanted to take the pledge, Samara. Where's that darn flashlight anyway? I found it here.
Car's pulling out. Guess they got the drunk inside, okay?
Yeah. Oh, nuts. Now it doesn't work.
Try the flashlight?
Yeah, the battery must be dead.
Oh, we don't need it now. Signs come on again.
That's a break. All right, come on. Let's get into that cafe.
I hope there's plenty of heat in there and chill through.
Hey, wait a second.
What?
Kicked something in this slush here.
Huh?
Oh, I heard it.
Hotel key. At least it has a hotel tag attached to it.
Yeah, wait, let me wipe some of this muck off it. Harwell Hotel, room 1118.
Maybe one of those men dropped it who were taking the drunk home.
Well, if the drunk dropped it, they're going to have some extra trouble taking him home unless they know his hotel and room number. He'll never be able to tell them. Well, I'll stick the key in my pocket and turn it over to somebody inside the joint here. Maybe inquiries for it. Let me help you on these steps, Annie. They're pretty slippery.
Yeah, thanks.
Oh, boy, it's good to get inside. Dining room's pretty crowded, Annie. Let's look in the bar. No customers in there. We'll get quicker service. We'll get the bartender to bring us coffee and sandwiches. Huh?
Okay.
Good evening. Well, it's really a very lousy evening, bartender.
Yeah, so they tell me. You just drove up here?
Yeah, give me a menu, will you?
Okay. Yeah.
Casey, where'd you get that blood on your hand?
Huh? Blood?
Yeah, look.
Yeah, I see.
Cut yourself, mister?
Not that I know of. Annie. This hotel key I found. I thought it was simply wet with slush and snow. But look at it under these bright lights.
Tag is streaked with blood.
Hey, you found that key, mister?
Yeah, to room 1118, Harwell Hotel.
Well, give me it. Somebody might come and ask you for it.
I didn't say I found it anywhere near here, did I?
No, you didn't. Excuse me a minute, will you?
Casey, how did fresh blood get on that key?
I don't know, Annie. I don't know why that bartender showed such an interest in it, either. I do know this joint belongs to Shark Yardley, who's made quite a few guys bleed plenty.
The bartender just went into that back room.
Yeah. Annie, I got a hunch we'd better get out of this place.
So have I.
Okay, come on.
Tell the door of the back room just open.
It's Yardley, one of his rodmen.
Well, if it isn't my old friend Casey.
Hello, Shark.
Well, I never hoped to see you in this little joint of mine. It's so off the beaten track.
We newspaper guys get around, you know.
So I've heard. I don't want you and the lady to have a drink with me. In my private office.
Well, thanks, Shark, but we're in a hurry.
But I must insist you step into my private office. I want to talk privately to you about a key.
I think I see the outline of a gun in your pocket.
Casey.
Shall we go to my office?
All right, come on, Annie.
Thank you. And be very quiet. There are guests in my dining room. I wouldn't want to stir. Yes, come right in. Now, sit down, lady. This chair is the most comfortable.
It looks comfortable.
Before I ask my friend Casey to sit down, frisk him, Nick.
Okay, boy.
I don't carry a gat, Shark. Guns aren't part of my racket.
Oh, I believe that, Casey, but I'd like to be sure.
He's clean, boss. Here's the key that was in his pocket.
Where did you get this key, Casey?
You undoubtedly know that I picked it up in your parking lot. You mind telling me why it's so important to you?
You've no idea?
No. I'm just a dumbbell.
Because I don't believe you're a dumbbell, I'm keeping you here for a while. I'm leaving Nick here to watch you while I join my guests in the dining room.
How long are you going to keep us here?
We'll discuss that when I come back, lady. Now I must return to the cafe. You see, I have reason to wish that my guests see a lot of me this evening. Make Casey and the lady comfortable, Nick.
I'll take care of them, boss.
Now, excuse me, won't you?
Looks as though we've walked into something, Casey.
Don't say we have, Annie, and without our galoshes on.
Yeah, and you ain't walking out of it neither.
Shark told you to make us comfortable, Nick. That's not the way to do it.
Oh, thanks for reminding me. Sit down and take a load off your feet.
No, I'd rather stand.
Sit down or I'll blast you.
Since you put it so nicely, I will. What made the electric sign on this joint go out a while ago, Nick?
Oh, did the sign go out?
Yeah, just long enough for two guys who were propping up a third guy to get him into a car and drive away.
You saw them guys, huh?
Well, I think your boss figures we did. The third guy wasn't just drunk, was he?
Casey, that
Sure,
buzzer...
Annie, yes. Was the third guy dying, Nick, or already dead?
I ain't here to answer questions. Maybe the boss will before you leave us.
I wish you wouldn't talk like that.
Can't take it, huh?
Well, it isn't easy to take, you know. The Shark said he'd stand us a drink when he brought us in here. I see a bottle on his desk there. 100 proof, too. Do you mind?
Keep your mitts off that bottle.
Listen, look, the least you can do is let a guy have a drink. I need it, fella.
To buck you up, wise guy? To brace you for what's coming?
Well, put it that way if you want to. Look, can I have a shot, huh?
Okay.
Oh, thanks.
Hey, wait a minute.
Huh? What?
Tilt that bottle slow and easy into one of them glasses. You try to lift the bottle or throw it, I'll plug you before it leaves your hand.
I won't take any chances like that with you, Nick. This suits you all right?
So far. Now put the bottle down.
Yeah, just as you say.
You poured a stiff one for yourself, didn't you?
Yeah, I need it.
Well, ain't you offering the lady none?
I don't want anything to drink.
And I don't want anything to drink. Oh.
He threw that whiskey in his eyes, Casey.
That's right, 100 proof stuff, too. All right, I've knocked him cold, Annie.
I got his gun.
Give it to me. Here. Tap him gently on the head with it so he'll stay out till we make our getaway. That'll do it.
We can't go out this door through the bar.
Come on, there's a window here. Only a short drop to the ground. Come on, you first.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah, all right. Come on.
Right with you. Now let's get to our car, the nearest police station.
you have to throw a half tumbler of that good whiskey in the guy's eyes, Casey?
Well, it was worth it, Ethelbert.
I'll say.
Well, what happened after you made your escape from that joint last night?
20 minutes later, we were back at the 5-Spot Cafe with a carload of cops.
Yeah, but Shark Yardley and his gorillas were gone, of course.
How you figure blood got on that key you found?
The body of Chuck Trumbull was found in a vacant lot way over on the south side this morning.
Chuck Trumbull? He's the character who's been trying to bust in on Shark Yardley's racket.
Uh-huh. Shark paid him off last night.
Trumbull was stabbed to death with his own knife. The police found it sticking in his body.
And Trumbull lived in room 1118 of the Harwell Hotel.
Well, on that key you found...
When Yardley learned that we had the key with the blood on it, he knew it would put him on the spot for Trumbull's murder.
And as he'd planned the murder, there was to be no evidence that Trumbull had been anywhere near the 5-Spot Cafe. In fact, Shark Yardley's alibi would be that he was at the 5-Spot when Trumbull was killed someplace else.
Yeah, but that key to Trumbull's hotel room, found in Shark's parking lot, was proof he'd been there.
Yeah, that's it. And when Yardley's brought to trial, Casey's testimony and mine about that key will send him to the chair.
The cops ain't caught up with the Shark yet?
No, but they will.
Until they do, I'd be pretty worried if I was you.
Worried?
The Shark's a bad baby, Casey. This Trumbull ain't the first guy he suspected of bumping off.
No. Cops think he got Ed Clive last year.
And with Clive's own gun. Like you think he carved Trumbull with Trumbull's own knife. And there was that gambler a couple of years ago, I forget his name.
Oh, Ernie Hastings.
Yeah. And the cops could never prove nothing. What I mean is, Shark Yardley ain't gonna like having a couple of witnesses loose that can finally fry him as he deserves to be fried if they stay loose.
I'm not worried about the Shark. He'll be too busy dodging cops to bother Ann and me.
Besides, we've been witnesses against his kind of rats before.
Well, he's a special mean kind of rat, Miss Williams. A special dangerous kind.
Look, Annie, it's after midnight. It's time I took you home.
Yeah, I'm ready to go home. I'm tired.
Well, here's what we had, pal.
Gee, you're paying for a change.
Huh? Well, I always pay. Don't I? Well, eventually. Don't I?
Yeah.
Good night.
Night, Casey. Night, Miss Williams.
Good night, Ethelbert. Casey, Ethelbert may be right. Shark Yardley might try to put us out of the way.
Oh, he and his mob have got to keep themselves under cover, Annie. Have it look, tomorrow morning, I'm going to ask headquarters to put a guard on you for a while.
How about you?
Oh, I can take care of myself.
Well, so can I.
Now, wait a minute. Women are different.
Really? I wasn't sure you were aware of that.
Huh? What do you mean?
Nothing.
Annie, are you getting one of your humors again?
It's a woman's privilege to have humors.
Oh.
I don't like to discuss nothing but the latest crimes and the newspaper business with you all the time and sit around and be the same as Ethelbert and Captain Logan.
Oh, you couldn't be the same as Ethelbert and Captain Logan.
Not quite, because my hair is longer and I wear skirts.
Well, okay. So your hair's longer and you wear skirts.
And that's that.
And that's got to be that. I'm not going to lose a pal.
Meaning me.
Meaning you.
I'm beginning to hate that word pal.
What's the matter with it? I like it. I like what it stands for, too. Come on, the car's across the street. Let's cross over right here. Huh?
Okay.
Now, look, getting back to Shark Yardley. Sure, there'll be no danger from him for a while, Annie, if ever. The heat's on him heavy, and he's got the lie.
Casey, that car!
Stop, Annie!
I only missed it by hair. If you hadn't pulled me out of the way, I
The
would...
fool driver swerved way across the center line, as though he were trying to run us down. Then he kept right on going.
Yeah, well, I think he did try to run us down, Casey.
Huh?
Yeah, I got to look at that driver. And I'm sure he was Shark Yardley.
This is the season of buffet suppers and other informal entertaining. Now, when it's necessary to serve an unusually large number of guests, jadeite is the ideal answer. Yes, jadeite, spelled Jadeite, jadeite, the new kind of dinnerware developed by Anchor Hocking. You'll love its delicate jade green color, its fine porcelain-like texture, and you'll be amazed to find that jadeite is as strong and heat-proof as the Fire King oven glass you use for baking. Yet, with all its advantages, jadeite is incredibly low in price. For example, a jadeite cup and saucer costs only 15 cents in open stock. and a complete 35-piece dinner service for 6, including cups, saucers, dessert dishes, salad plates, dinner plates, vegetable bowl, platter, and sugar and creamer set, is priced at less than $5. Ask for Jadeite at chain stores, department stores, hardware stores, and other stores selling chinaware and glass. Jadeite is the newest triumph of anchor hocking. The most famous name in glass.
Don't argue with me, Casey. Both you and Miss Williams get police bodyguards from now on.
Well, after what happened half an hour ago, Captain Logan, I'm delighted.
Well, I'm not, and I won't stand for it. How could I have one of your cops at my elbow 24 hours a day, Logan? I'd feel like a sap.
You rather feel like a dead sap who don't feel anything at all?
Listen, the driver of that car may not have been Shark Yardley.
Oh, yes, Casey.
I think he was the driver, and I don't think this will be his last attempt to get you. You two are the key witnesses against him, and while he's on the loose, you're on the spot.
Well, okay, all right, you win.
And aside from bodyguards, I'm giving each of you a gun to carry.
No, give one of them to Ann. I'm not looking to gat around.
Hey, Casey, please.
No, I don't like the thing. I won't carry him and I won't shoot him.
All right, bullhead.
Now, look, since I must have bodyguards, give me guys who won't be hard to take, Logan, will you? I mean, preferably bad pinochle players.
Now put Bradley in charge of your guard detail. Does he suit you?
Yeah, Brad's okay. But will he get worn out following me on assignments? Come on, hurry up, Brad. City desk says there's a rest job. We left my car down the street here.
Oh, where are we going now, Casey?
City Hall. An appointment assignment to take pictures of the mayor's newly appointed park commissioner.
Say, you get all the dirty work? Who takes all the pictures of those pin-up gals I see in the papers?
Oh, the very old press photographers. Well, you've been my shadow for 5 days now, Brad. How do you like it?
I'll be glad to get back to the straight detective business.
Yeah, say, look, Logan's making saps out of both of us. Shark Yardley hasn't tried anything, and he won't try anything.
They tried to make a hit-and-run morgue case out of you.
Yeah. I think Miss Williams only imagined that Shark was in that car. And nothing's happened since. Logan's just wasting your time and the city's money, Brad, and that's a fact. Well, here's the old bus. Get in, get going.
Okay. Casey,
huh?
Don't step on that starter.
Huh?
Don't touch the starter. When they left this car half an hour ago, its hood was covered with snow.
Yeah?
Most of the snow's fallen off. Maybe because somebody raised the hood. I'm going to see.
Well, why would anybody raise the hood?
Somebody did. And put this underneath.
What is it, Brad?
Look. Attached to your starter. I think it's a little TNT.
Bomb, huh?
Uh-huh. The old gangster gag. When you started your car, Bluey.
Bluey, yeah. Oh, thanks, Brad. Guess maybe Logan was right. Okay, Logan, all right. I've been the sap and you've been the wise guy.
You finally think so, huh?
Now, don't rub it in now, pal.
Why not? Even after Bradley found that bomb in your car 2 weeks ago, you gave me an argument. Since then, a 45 slug's gone through your head and a knife's been thrown at you.
I know.
But still, you argue.
All right.
Even with all the luck of the Irish you've got, you should be dead by now.
Well, my luck can't last forever, I guess. Plenty jittery right now.
Yeah, since this morning, after you learned Miss Williams had received a box of candies with the mails that turned out to be poison.
Look, if she'd been sap enough to eat one of those candies, Logan...
Fortunately, she wasn't. You'd probably have swallowed a couple.
We gotta stop this, We gotta nail this guy, Yardley.
How, exactly? You know we've turned this town inside out trying to find him.
We've got to make him come to us.
That's a beautiful idea. Just what method will you take?
Wait a minute. I think I've figured him out.
Yeah?
Look. The Shark's got a big fat grudge against me, Logan. He's a guy who always settled his grudges in person when he could. Well, I want him to have an opportunity to get into my apartment at night unmolested.
What do you mean?
I want the guard who watches my fire escape to apparently sneak away from his post every night and do a little guzzling at a bar around the corner. I'd like him to make a special habit of doing it between 2 and 3 a.m.
So Shark will be tipped off and pay you a call by way of the fire escape?
Right.
Now then what?
I'm going to take that gun you offered me.
Casey, I doubt if you'd shoot a guy even to save your own life.
I'll kill Shark Yardley if I have to, but he ought to save me that trouble. You know, crooks and killers usually follow a set pattern. They stick to old habits.
I don't get you.
Well, I'll explain it later, but right now, you tell my fire escape guard to play hooky between 2 and 3 a.m., and do I get a gun?
I'm always a sap for you, pal. All right, I'll instruct the guard. And I'll give you my best gun, a 38 positive and a 45
No, I don't want a revolver. I want a rifle.
Rifle?
Yeah. A big caliber rifle with a silencer attached.
Silence?
Yeah. And Logan, look, we'll have to let Bradley and the rest of my shadows in on this, of course, but don't let it go any further, especially don't tell Ann Williams about my plan.
I'm not to tell Miss Williams. Suppose you tell me about your plan, and now.
Well, okay, Brad, here's the old homestead again. Time to go through our usual routine.
Yeah, well, I don't like the routine that's become usual during the last week, Casey.
Yeah.
You're taking a big chance with nobody watching that fire escape between 2 and 3 in the morning.
I'm watching.
But you're not used to handling guns.
Well, I can handle a rifle Logan gave me. Also, I've had lots of experience handling crooks.
All I can do is hope you'll be okay. Shark may show up any time now, Casey. Maybe tonight.
Yeah, the sooner the better. Miss Williams is losing a lot of sleep.
She's got nothing to worry about. She hasn't a fire escape.
Well, come on, Brad. Let's get out of this car. You come up to my apartment as usual, look the joint over as usual, then come back here down to the street as usual.
Then you'll turn out your lights as usual.
And I'll seem to be sleeping soundly between 2 and 3 a.m.
What if you do fall asleep, Casey?
Well, in that case, well, I won't. What? Who's there? Who's behind that flashlight?
Only me, Casey.
Shark.
Don't reach for that gun beside your bed.
Guess I won't.
Don't. Turn that table lamp on so I can see you and that gun a little better.
Okay.
Thanks. Well, you look like just the same sap who butts into things he should keep away from. Oh, that gun of yours. Nice high-powered rifle that could make a big hole in a guy. Why the silencer on it?
Well, it had the attachment when I got it from the cops.
Wasn't that nice? Revolver I brought along has a silencer, too. But I always like to use the other fellow's weapon if he has one. If I'm unlucky and fall into a pinch, a good lawyer may convince a jury that the other fellow was a suicide.
You're going to shoot me with my rifle?
Yes, Casey. After I've made sure it's loaded. It is. And now...
Don't, Shark!
Yellow, aren't you? Afraid to take it?
Put down that gun!
Put the muzzle against your head. The cops will be sure this was a suicide.
It will be if you squeeze that trigger. You're suicide.
What do you mean?
You looked to see if it was loaded. It is. You didn't look to see if the barrel is clear. It isn't. It's been plugged. So the shell in the chamber will blow up the gun.
Yeah, this is a bluff. You can't get away with it.
It isn't a bluff.
Nuts. Take what I came to give you.
You snapped the trap yourself, Shark. And I can't say I'm really sorry.
We'll join the crowd at the Blue Note in just a moment. The baby of today, your baby, has many advantages which most of us didn't enjoy when we were very young. And not the least of these are scientifically prepared baby foods. These baby foods make it easy to provide a nourishing, well-balanced diet. They save the young mother countless hours in the kitchen. But to take full advantage of the convenience of prepared baby food, be sure to insist on glass jars. For with a glass jar, you can heat and serve baby food and reseal it to store leftovers all in the original container, saving endless extra hours of work each week. And then, too, there's the matter of cleanliness. Glass jars are completely sterile. They protect baby food perfectly both before and after opening. Most of the better brands of prepared baby foods are packed in Anchor glass jars and sealed under vacuum with easy-to-open, easy-to-reseal anchor caps. Both products of Anchor Hocking. The most famous name in glass.
Well, the explosion of that rifle didn't kill the shark, huh, Casey?
No, Ethelbert, miraculously enough. The docs will have him patched up for his trial on the Trumbull murder charge, and he'll be able to walk to the hot seat afterwards.
But how could you be sure he'd try to shoot you with that rifle instead of his own gun, Casey?
Look, now, he'd killed Trumbull with Trumbull's own knife, huh?
Yeah.
And Clive with Clive's own pistol.
Yeah.
Well, that was Shark's murder pattern, don't you say?
That's right.
Well, I'm awful glad it's over, Casey.
Oh, my Annie, I'm sure glad to get rid of that bodyguard.
You know, I'll miss mine.
Huh? Miss having a cop at your elbow every minute?
Well, my principal guard was nice. I liked him.
Yeah?
Nice looking, too. You met him.
Oh, yeah, I'm not sure.
Of course, I won't miss him too much.
Oh?
We have a date together this evening.
Oh. Have a date, huh? With a cop tonight?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but look, Annie, you and I usually go out together every evening.
Oh, but you and I are just pals, Casey.
Huh?
I said we're just pals.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I must be running along to meet him now. So long, Ethelbert.
Hey, so long, Miss Williams.
Good night, pal.
Good night. What are you laughing about?
Pal.
Nuts.
Crime Photographer, starring Stotts Cotsworth as Casey, is written by Alonzo Dean Cole. It is brought to you each Thursday by the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation, makers of Fire King Oven Glass. Anchor glass containers, Anchor caps and closures. All products of Anchor Hocking, the most famous name in glass. Crime Photographer is directed by John Dietz and is based on the fictional character of Flash Gun Casey, created by George Harmon Cox. Original music is by Archie Blyer, and the program features Miss Jan Miner as Anne and John Gibson as Ethelbert. Herman Chittison is the Blue Note pianist. If you're a young man from 17 to 31 years of age, the Navy is interested in you, and you'll be interested in the Navy. For the Navy offers you training in the most extensive scientific schools in the world, combined with travel and adventure, good pay, financial security, and early retirement. Get in touch with your local Navy recruiting office immediately. This is Tony Marvin saying goodnight for the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, with offices in all principal cities of the United States and Canada. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System. The Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation brings you Crime Photographer.
Hiya, Casey.
Hi, Ethelbert.
How's the weather outside?
It's still bad. Seems like this winter will never end.
Yeah, but like I always say, a long winter means an early summer.
Is that what you always say?
Yeah, that's what I always say.
Tony, what do you always say?
Casey, I always say Anchor Hocking. the most famous name in glass. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Tony Marvin. Every week at this time, the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, and its more than 10,000 employees bring you another adventure of Casey, crime photographer, ace cameraman who covers the crime news of a great city. Our adventure for tonight, Witchcraft. On the outskirts of our city, there's a queer rural community known as Frogtown, whose inhabitants resolutely combat the invasion of modern ideas and metropolitan customs. It's a section of small farms dotted here and there with a cluster of tiny houses. At about 3 o'clock on a cold winter morning, little groups of shivering natives peer curiously at a smoke-blackened shack that has just been the scene of a fire, and at the city policemen who are milling around it. Then a car with a press sign on its windshield pulls up at the curb, and a familiar voice...
Hi, Sergeant Flanagan. What? Oh, so you're here, Casey. Sure, and before any other newspaper mug from the looks of things, at least I don't see any competitors around here. You're the first of your troublemaking tribe to get here. Yeah? I got a report that firemen uncovered a murder inside that shack after they got the flames under control. How about that?
Oh, that's correct, Casey.
Huh?
They found the old guy who lived there dead in his bed. He'd been stabbed through the heart. Then the killer set fire to the place as an attempted cover-up.
Any dope on the killer?
You'll have to ask Captain Logan about that. He's inside the shack now.
Well, I'll ask him after I shoot a couple of pictures of the place from out here. These people hanging around are neighbors of the dead guy, I suppose, huh?
Yes, we've been questioning them, but nobody knows anything about the murder, they say.
Oh, that's a great help. Hey, don't move away from the house, you people. I want you in the picture if you don't mind.
No.
Well, hey, what do you know? They've all done a fade-out.
You've covered news in Frogtown before, Casey. Didn't you find out the folks out here are kind of peculiar? They just don't want their pictures taken.
Huh. Oh, well, nuts. I'll shoot the house with just you cops around it.
Where's your sidekick, Miss Williams?
She was out on another job when City Desk gave me a hurry-up on this one. Sarge, move over there. I'll put you in the foreground of my next shot.
Oh, fine. Oh, I never say no to news pictures, Casey. The wife thinks my left profile is prettiest, so take me this way.
Okay, Robert Taylor. Hold it now. Got it. All right, now I'll see what Logan has to offer.
There he's coming out now, Casey.
Yeah, some old dame.
I'll go back to your home, Mrs. Greco, and stay there. I'll want to talk to you again later on.
Nothing more I can say, Captain. I'll tell you everything I know.
You may think of something more later. Good night.
Good night, Captain. I'm an honest woman when I say I've told all I have told all.
I might have known you'd be showing up here, Casey.
Hi, pal. Who's the old dame you just sent home?
Name's Mrs. Mary Greco. She's a widow, lives in the shack to the north of this one.
Her face is kind of familiar, but I can't...
You've probably seen her in police court. She's arraigned every so often on swindle charges going out of fortune-telling.
Yeah. Old Gypsy Mary, they call her.
Come on in, Casey. Yeah, Gypsy Mary, just a petty swindler who's taken the nickel and dime class. And she seems to be altogether clean in the murder of this guy, Jenkins.
Oh, Jenkins, the dead guy's name.
Yeah, Amos Jenkins. Came here from some backwoods section of the Ozark Mountains about 15 years ago. Kept pretty much to himself and was suspected of being a conjure man.
Oh, what? A conjure man?
That means a male witch, pal, a wizard.
He was suspected of being... Are you kidding?
Talk to some of the people in this neighborhood and you'll find they're not kidding when they talk about witches and wizards. They go for beliefs that belong back in the Dark Ages.
Yeah, now I remember that a lot of farms out here have magic charms painted on the barns and houses to... protect them from the evil eye.
You'll see some anti-hex symbols right here in this room if you look around. The fire set by the killer didn't touch him, but they didn't protect the guy who put him up.
Any idea who killed this conjure man, Jenkins, or why he was killed?
Not yet, but Mrs. Greco and a few other neighbors, I've learned that Jenkins chased a prowler out of here 2 nights ago.
Yeah?
According to Mrs. Greco, who tells the straightest story, she was awakened around 11:30, night before last, by a call from Jenkins. She got to her window in time to see a guy streak out of the back door with Jenkins after him.
Did Jenkins tell him anything about what had happened?
Only that he woke up suddenly to find the guy standing beside the bed with a knife in his hand. And the guy just beat it. She says Jenkins didn't know or wouldn't say who he was. But Jenkins is dead now, so we can't question him.
Yeah, I can see that. But you think he came back with that same knife tonight and stuck it in Jenkins' heart?
No, Jenkins wasn't stabbed with a knife tonight. He got it with a pair of scissors.
What? Scissors?
Yep. Body's still in the bedroom as we found it. Come on in and have a look.
Yeah, okay. That fire didn't leave much untouched in this room, did it? Oh, yeah, that body's badly charred.
All except the head and hair. Hey, take a look at that hair, Casey.
The old guy wore it plenty long. He must have been allergic to barbers.
Notice anything funny about his hair?
No. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, a hunk of it's been cut off. Close to the scalp.
Yeah, with a pair of scissors.
And scissors were used?
Uh-huh. I told you some things here looked like possible leads. This one give you any idea?
No, I'm completely dumb on it, pal, I'm afraid. There seems to be a connection.
There must be one.
You got anything else, Logan?
Yeah. Something even screwier than that clipped-off hunk of hair. Here, have a look.
Holy smokes. A human hand.
Cut off at the wrist.
Was that one of Jenkins?
No, the doc says it's completely mummified and has been that way a long time.
Where'd you find it?
Under Jenkins's bed.
Yeah. Huh. Must have something to do with the old guy's conjure stuff. It's probably a charm of some kind. Did you ask any of his neighbors about it?
No, nor about the missing lock of hair. I'm keeping these two goofy items under cover for a while, and I'd like you to, too.
Okay. They're off the record until you say otherwise. You know, Logan, I'd say the smart thing for you to do is to study up on witchcraft.
That's exactly what I'm going to do.
I think I will, too. Murder's gotten interesting.
All you have to do is shoot pictures around it. I have to solve it.
Which reminds me.
Hey, I didn't say you could take pictures of that dead guy.
Pal, he's the only Frogtown resident who hasn't beat it when I aimed a camera tonight. You can't begrudge me one subject who doesn't run off.
Good afternoon.
Good? Is Casey here? I don't see him.
Well, I don't either. He ain't been in this bar all day.
Oh, that settles it. This makes the third time in 2 hours he stood me up. If he really shows up sometime today, tell him I've gone and left no word.
Miss Williams, wait.
What for?
Well, Casey don't break dates with you unless he's got big reasons. Ain't he told you what's keeping him?
Oh, yes. Yes, he's got a wonderful excuse. He and Captain Logan are studying hex, black magic.
Magic?
Mm-hmm. And it's supposed to have something to do with that murder in Frogtown early this morning.
Oh, I read about that. But the papers didn't mention nothing about magic.
Well, Captain Logan is suppressing a lot of inside stuff on the case. Even I don't know what it is. Because I haven't seen Casey. And I'm not going to wait any longer. I'm going.
Hi, Annie. Hello, Ethelbert. Awful sorry to keep you waiting, kid. I just couldn't break away, though. That professor on witchcraft is the most interesting gal I've ever met.
Gal?
Yeah. Oh, boy, does she know her stuff, Annie. Annie, listen. There was a murder in York, Pennsylvania, 20 years ago that may be a ringer for this Jenkins killing. It seems that a conjure man, as the Pennsylvania Dutch call him, named Nelson Raymeyer, was killed by a guy named Blymer, and a lock of hair figured in that case, too.
Her hair is blonde, of course.
Whose hair? What?
You're fascinating, Professor.
Annie, she's a little old lady.
Yeah?
Yeah. 70 if she's a day. Yeah, and I'm talking about the lock of hair that was clipped from Jenkins.
Well, I don't know anything about that.
Well, I'll give you all the dope as we drive out to Frogtown.
We're driving to Frogtown?
Yep, right away. Have you had anything at the bar that you owe Ethelbert for?
No, I just got here before you came in.
Okay, then let's go.
Just a minute. Since you brung the subject up, Casey, you've been accumulating a little...
yeah.
For 2 weeks.
You, we should pay, huh?
Well, pal, I ain't supposed to put anything on the cuff. I got to take it out of my own pocket when I do, and I'm short right now.
I know. Well, what do I owe you, pal?
$18.40. I hate to ask, and if you can't spare it...
My man, this $50 bill is for you. Keep it all and credit me with the difference.
Yeah, he's given me $50, Miss Williams.
Ethelbert, he has more.
Mm-hmm. A neat little roll of 300 smackers, kiddies, minus the 50 I just handed over.
Where'd you get all that money?
Don't tell me one of them long shots you play finally won a race.
Exactly. That's precisely what happened, Ethelbert, on a hunch that came out of the Jenkins murder. I stuck $5 on the nose of an egg called Hexmaster, and he paid off 60 to 1.
Well, did you...
Casey, you've never won on the horses.
Well, I'm playing my Hexmaster hunch still further, Annie. And to win by a length. Come on. We're driving to Frogtown.
Perhaps once in a decade, a new material is perfected which changes our standards of value. Such a material is jadeite, spelled Jadeite, jadeite. It makes possible dinnerware unlike anything you've known. Jadeite is really beautiful. It has the lovely texture and color of rare Chinese porcelain, and jadeite is unbelievably strong. Why, it stands up under rough handling without chipping or cracking, and is so heat-proof you can safely put it in a hot oven. Yet, jadeite actually costs less than the most ordinary dinnerware. For instance, a big jadeite platter costs only 25 cents in open stock, and a 35-piece dinner service for 6 is priced at less than $5 at your favorite chain store, department store, hardware store, or other stores selling chinaware and glass. A set of jadeite is a perfect gift, and it makes it easy to replenish your own supply of dinnerware. Jadeite is the newest triumph of anchor hocking. The most famous name in glass.
Okay, now, Annie, there you are. I've given you a complete picture of what Logan found after the murder and of what the professor told us today.
Well, it seems incredible that people in this country still believe in witchcraft, that they still practice it.
And they still kill people because of it.
What are we going to do in Frogtown?
Something that Logan or his cops can't do quite as well as we can, Annie. That is, without risking a yell of frame-up and coercion.
We're going to frame and coerce somebody?
Those are hard words, Annie. We're going to throw a bluff that may lead to a killer.
Oh, well, tell me more.
All right. Now, Logan and I believe that Gypsy Mary, this Mrs. Grieco, recognized the guy that Jenkins chased out of his house 2 nights before the murder.
Well, she's keeping mum because she's afraid?
Yeah. Now, look, Annie, she doesn't know you. So while I watch outside her window in the dark with a camera, you have your fortune told and pass her a marked bill, see? And I'll get a picture of it, and maybe we can bluff her into thinking that we can cause her trouble unless she talks.
Why, it's blackmail, Casey.
Well, a man is dead, Annie. His murderer is free. Besides, we're only pulling a bluff, kid. Okay?
Okay.
A very interesting hand, young woman. Very interesting hand.
You can read my future in it, Mrs. Grieco?
I can read many things. And not only in your hand.
Oh, tell my fortune. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. How much do you charge?
Oh, the little lady wants to pay me?
Well, of course.
No, my dear. Put that money back into your purse. Old Mary will give you what she sees for nothing.
For nothing?
To begin with, my dear, there is a young man in your life who will be more comfortable if he comes into my warm house instead of standing in the cold outside my window. I've come inside, Mr. Casey, with your camera.
Thanks.
You'll find the door unlatched. Just push it open. There's lots of cold coming in the open window. I close it again. Well, young woman, how do you like the things Mary Grieco sees?
You answer that one, Casey.
All right, I will. I'll answer by talking straight. Mrs. Grieco, I think you can tell us the name of the prowler that old man Jenkins found in his house.
Yes.
Yes.
And so?
We want to know who he is.
I tell the cops I do not know.
We're not cops.
I know who you are. You work for a big, rich newspaper that has much money to spend.
Well, I can't read hands, but I can read minds sometimes. How much?
How much you pay?
Well, our city editor would have to answer that.
If you want to buy from me, I sell now. I do not sell later or to anybody else.
Look, I haven't any dough.
Well, then go away.
Now,
Get
wait
out.
a minute.
I know, wait. It is
Casey,
now or
you have
never.
$250.
Oh, $250.
Oh, that belongs to me. It's not the paper's, bright girl.
Give me $250
I'll
and
give
I
it to
tell.
her, Casey. It's worth it.
Well, maybe the paper won't give it back to me.
Of course it will.
For a murder exclusive? Give me or get out.
Okay. Stick with me, Hexmaster. Don't let me lose this role you won me.
It's just 250.
All right, now give me the dope you promised.
I gave. And the true dope. I not only see the man Amos Jenkins chase from his house that night, but my good friend Jenkins tells me who he is.
All right, tell us.
The man you want has a little farm on Barry Road. His name is Elisha Kraft.
Elisha Kraft, Barry Road.
That's right. You'll have no trouble finding him. But you will not find that he killed Amos Jenkins.
What? What do you mean?
Go and see Elisha Kraft. Get acquainted with him. Your money has bought truth from me, Mr. Casey. $250 worth of truth. But it has bought no murderer.
You are Elisha Kraft?
Yes, sir. I just told you I was.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure.
What you and this lady want to see me about?
Well, we're on the Morning Express, Mr. Kraft, covering the murder of Amos Jenkins.
Amos Jenkins?
Mr. Kraft, a witness has positively identified you as the man Jenkins discovered in his house 3 nights ago.
Mister, I admit I was in Jenkins' house that night, and I ain't sure how I got there.
What?
I'm a sick man. Sometimes I get spells and I don't know where I am or what I'm doing. I didn't know I was in Jenkins' house until he hit me. Then I come out of my spell and ran.
You had a knife in your hand. How do you explain that?
I tell you, I don't remember. Besides, I ain't got strange enough to choke a kitten. I can't even do the littlest work around my farm anymore. I gotta hire fellas to do it for me. I'm sick, mister. I'm worse than sick. I'm dying.
Casey.
I'm sorry, Mr. Kraft. I had to do this.
I wasn't in Jenkins' house last night anyway. I can prove it by my 2 hired men and Dr. Hoffman. I had one of my spells last night, a bad spell. Dr. Hoffman come at midnight, and him and the hired men set with me till 3 in the morning.
Dr. Hoffman, you say?
Dr. Gustav Hoffman. Anyone will tell you where to find him, and anyone will tell you his word is better than gold.
How long have you been sick like this?
Going on a year now. It hit me sharp and sudden.
Well, we hope you recover your health as suddenly as you lost it.
Thank you, ma'am. I hope for the best myself.
Yes. Let's go, Casey.
Just a moment, Annie. Before we leave, Mr. Kraft, I'd like to take a picture of you.
Picture?
Yeah, for the paper.
No.
Why not?
Don't believe in pictures. Don't like pictures. I know my rights. Nobody can take pictures of me when I say no. I gotta rest now. I'm a sick man.
Yeah. All right, we'll go. Thanks for everything.
You're welcome. Goodbye.
Goodbye, Mr. Kraft.
Casey, even if his alibi proved phony, I couldn't believe that poor wasted midget of a man drove a pair of scissors through Jenkins' chest.
Neither could I, Annie. I don't think his alibi will prove phony either. Well, we'll check it, of course. Come on, get in the car, kid.
Okay. Sorry, Casey.
Sorry, for what?
For $250.
Oh.
I made you give it to that old woman. The paper's tough when it comes to money.
You don't think it'll allow me the dough I spent because we're not bringing in $250 worth?
All we'll get for your money is a razzing.
I'm not so sure Gypsy Mary swindled us, Annie.
Well, now, how can you say that
Annie, before I start the car, take a good look at Kraft's house, his barn, chicken houses.
Well, I'm looking.
All right, what do you see?
Well, a group of very well cared for buildings.
Annie, listen. If you had a barn, for instance, would you have a fake window painted on each side?
Has fake windows. Just painted on the board.
Yeah, they're to fool witches.
To fool witches?
Yeah. According to some popular hex ideas, the witch will be sap enough to try to get in the barn through those windows instead of going to the door.
Casey.
Yeah. There are painted wheels on some of the buildings, too. Those are witch catchers. Our friend Elisha Kraft had hoodoo chasers hung all over him.
You mean he's a believer in witchery?
Yeah. And like Jenkins' neighbors this morning, he's afraid of being photographed, too.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to get pictures of that guy when he doesn't know there's a camera around, Annie. And then I'm going to make him tell me who he paid to kill Amos Jenkins.
Sit down, mister. You too, lady.
Thanks, Mr. Kraft.
What you two come to see me about this time?
Well, we figured we owed you an apology for our first visit 3 days ago, for the suspicions we had of you then.
Oh, that's all right.
We saw Dr. Hoffman. He verified your alibi.
His word's better, I'll scold.
Everybody we've talked to says that.
He's not your regular doctor, Mr. Kraft.
Regular doctor?
Yeah, you told us you've been sick about a year. Dr. Hoffman says you've only consulted him a few times during the past month.
Yeah, that's right.
Who's been treating you the rest of the time?
Why, I've been taking care of myself.
Have you, sir? Well, that was dangerous, Mr. Kraft. Dr. Hoffman told you require hospital care.
He don't know everything. I'm getting better without no hospital.
Have you felt better since Amos Jenkins died?
What do you mean?
Those sudden stabbing pains in the chest you've been having for nearly a year, have they stopped during the past 4 days? They haven't stopped, and they're not going to stop unless I stop them, eh?
You?
Here's the reason why.
My picture? You got a picture of me?
Yes, and I know powwow magic, and I know conjure magic. I am a hex master.
There's pinholes through my picture, pinholes in the chest where I get them stabbing pains. No!
Go ahead, tear the picture up. Tear them all up. I got other pictures of you, lots of others. And you and your body and your mind, your living image is trapped in every one of them by my magic. When I stick a pin through your image, you feel it in your chest.
You'll kill me. You'll finish the hex that Jenkins started.
Yes, unless you tell me how Jenkins was killed and tell me the truth. I'm a witch doctor. I'll know when you're lying. Talk.
If I do, you lift the hex. You let me live?
I'll lift the hex, yeah.
All right, I'll talk. When I first got the pains, I didn't pay no attention. Then it got worse, and I went to see Lut Albrecht.
Yeah, he's a conjure man, a powwow doctor.
Yeah, he charmed me and gave me magic pills to swallow, but that didn't do no good. Finally, he says someone had put a hex on me.
Finally, after you'd paid him much more dough, he told you Amos Jenkins had laid the hex, huh?
Yes, the only way to stop it was to put a bigger hex on Jenkins than he put on me. You know, conjure, mister. You know we had to get a lock of Jenkins' hair to fix him good.
Yes, I know. With a lock of his hair, which was part of his body, part of him, this Albrecht could work big magic.
That's right. Well, I went to Jenkins' house at night when he was asleep. I had a knife to cut off a lock of his hair, but...
Yeah, but he woke up and chased you.
Yes. Then Albrecht went to get
You don't know everything, Mr.
Lut Albrecht.
I come in your house by the baccalage. I've been listening.
It's nice to meet you, Mr. Albrecht. Even with that shotgun in your hands.
I'm going to do more than just hold this shotgun, mister. I've been thinking Elisha might talk to someone more than was good for him. I've been watching him close. He won't talk to nobody else. And you people won't tell what he's already said.
Ludwig,
I'm going to kill the three of you.
No, Ludwig.
You're not much of a conjure man, Albrecht. If you have to use a gun to shut us up, why not try a little magic?
If you was the conjure man I heard you claim to be, mister, you would stop me from using the gun. But you can't stop me. I'm shooting now.
Good shot, Logan. Beautiful magic.
Yeah. I hope I didn't kill him.
You didn't. You only plugged him through the shoulder.
And only just in time.
You and them other policemen was watching outside the window?
And listening, Mr. Kraft. You've been under constant observation since an hour after Casey and Miss Williams first talked to you. Hey, Sergeant, get a doctor for this guy.
Yes, sir. Now, I'm going to take some exclusive pictures that are going to get me back $250. Dear old Hexmaster, he paid off all the way.
We'll join the crowd at the Blue Note in just a moment. You know, American children are the healthiest children in the world, largely because most American babies now get a good, sound start in life. Much of the credit for this is due to our American food packers who produce convenient, scientifically prepared baby foods. The young mother can now give her baby well-balanced, nourishing meals without spending endless extra hours in the kitchen. In selecting prepared baby foods for your baby, whether fruits, vegetables, soups, or meats, it's wise to insist on two things. One, a brand name with which you're familiar, and two, a glass jar. Sterile, crystal-clear Anchor glass jars can't possibly affect purity or flavor. And because you heat and serve foods in the same glass jars in which you buy them, and then reseal the jars to store leftovers, mothers save precious hours each week. Most of the better brands of prepared baby foods are packed in clean, sanitary Anchor glass jars and sealed under vacuum with easy-to-open, easy-to-reseal Anchor caps. Both products of Anchor Hocking. The most famous name in glass.
This powwow Dr. Albrecht has confessed to the cops, huh, Casey?
Mm-hmm. To quote the language of the classics, Ethelbert, he is told all. As a matter of fact, Kraft had already paid Albrecht several grand for his magic help.
There's dough in being a witch doctor.
You said it. Well, Jenkins woke up when Albrecht snipped off a hunk of his hair, and Albrecht let him have it with his scissors.
And then he set fire to the place and made his getaway, and... Oh, that's all.
Well, not all, Annie. There's that mummified hand.
Oh, and definitely.
How did that thing get under the bed?
Well, Albrecht had brought it with him. It's supposed to be the hand of an executed criminal.
And it's supposed to be a powerful magic charm.
A charm for what?
Well, I tell you, Ethelbert, if you want to go into a house and steal something, a lock of hair, for instance, it prevents people in the house from waking up and catching you at it.
Yeah, but it didn't work.
No, not so good.
Gee, in this age and day, such people.
Yep, they're with us, pal.
Say, did you get your $250 back from the paper, Casey?
He got it.
Oh, it's swell.
It was.
Pipe down, will you, Annie?
What goes on?
Casey played a hunch too far, Ethelbert.
Well, okay, I'll tell it. I don't mind. You see, Hexmaster was running again, Ethelbert, and I stuck the whole roll on him, and I... Say, Ethelbert, can I have the change from that $50 I gave you?
Casey, you just don't have any hex appeal.
Huh? Oh. Oh, Miss Williams.
Crime Photographer, starring Stotts Cotsworth as Casey, is written by Alonzo Dean Cole. It is brought to you each Thursday by the Anchor Hawking Glass Corporation, makers of Fire King Oven Glass, Anchor Glass Containers, Anchor Caps and Closures, all products of Anchor Hawking, the most famous name in glass. Crime Photographer is directed by John Dietz and is based on the fictional character of Flash Gun Casey, created by George Harmon Cox. Original music is by Archie Blyer, and the program features Miss Jan Miner as Anne and John Gibson as Ethelbert. Herman Chittison is the Blue Note pianist. Next week is Brotherhood Week, and let's make it work. Judge every man by his individual worth, not by some label. Don't spread any rumor against any race or religion, and don't listen to them either. Speak up against prejudice and for understanding. This is Tony Marvin saying good night for the Anchor Hawking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, with offices in all principal cities of the United States and Canada. This is CBS, where 99 million people gather every week, the Columbia Broadcasting System. The Anchor Hawking Glass Corporation brings you Crime Photographer.
Casey, wasn't that hypnotist over at the Oddfellows Hall really something?
Yeah, he sure had some surprising stunts, didn't he?
Yeah, like when he put those guys to sleep. Then he wakes them up. And always the first words they say are exactly what the hypnotist told us they'd say.
Yeah, but I've seen that done often.
You know, Casey, I'd like to have that hypnotist try it on Tony Marvin.
No dice, Ethelbert. No matter what, as soon as Tony woke up, he'd say...
Anchor Hawking, the most famous name in glass. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Tony Marvin. Every week at this time, the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, and its more than 10,000 employees bring you another adventure of Casey, crime photographer, ace cameraman who covers the crime news of a great city. Our adventure for tonight, The Fix. Early afternoon, the Blue Note Cafe. Ethelbert, the head bartender, is engaged in conversation with a rather weak-looking young man and a very good-looking young woman when the street door opens and... Whoa.
Oh, it's nice and warm in here, Casey.
Boy, does that heat feel good, Annie.
Wow, look who's here.
Hi, Ethelbert. Hi.
Hello, Ethelbert.
Casey.
Huh? But doggone. How are you, Archie?
Fine, and you?
Well, I'll feel better when spring comes.
Don't you remember me, Casey?
Mildred.
Hello.
Well, what do you know? Say, you look like a million in that mink coat.
I gather you know these folks, Casey.
I've known Archie ever since he was a punk at grammar school, Ethelbert, and Miss Sells.
Our acquaintance goes back only a few years to the Warren affair.
Yeah. Oh, excuse me, Miss Ann Williams, Miss Mildred Sells.
Hello, Miss Al. How do you do?
And Archie Purcell.
Pleasure, Miss Williams.
Oh, thank you.
You know Archie's father, Annie. He's one of our favorite cops.
Not Lieutenant Purcell.
Mm-hmm.
He's my old man.
Well, we have a great admiration for your father.
Yeah, he's quite a guy.
They don't come any better.
Well, Miss Sells and I must be running along. We have a date.
Yes, it was nice meeting you, Miss Williams. See you again, Casey.
That goes double.
Must get together sometime.
Yeah, we'll try to, Archie.
I paid you, didn't I, Ethelbert? Yeah, we're all square. Well, see all of you again.
Yeah, so long.
Bye. Bye.
Come again. We will, Ethelbert. Blondes. Wow. There goes one beautiful babe, Casey.
Yeah. She's dynamite, too. I mean that literally. You know, she's a stooge for old Iron Hat.
Tim Lansing?
The political leader?
Yes, sir, the boss. The big crook under the old-fashioned derby who protects professional gambling in this midtown section.
How does that swell-looking gal stooge for him?
Dames are used in all the big rackets, pal.
Like the boss of the Philistines hired that babe Delilah to soften up Samson, huh?
Been catching up on your reading. Well, that's the classical case, yeah.
Casey, Lieutenant Purcell has caused Lansing more trouble than anyone else in this town. He heads the gambling squad, and if that Mildred Sells is making a play for his son...
I thought of that, Annie, the moment I recognized her. Say, you were talking to them when we came in, Ethelbert. How did he and Mildred act together?
Well, they seem pretty sweet on one another, Casey.
She may be legitimate this time and just like Archie.
Say, Casey, she said you met her at the time of the Warren affair. What did she mean?
The murder of Mike Warren.
Murder?
Of Mike Warren?
Yeah, he owned the clip joint where Mildred worked, and somebody put a bullet through his head one morning. She was questioned like all his employees.
I remember the case.
Oh, so do I, vaguely. Warren's murder's still unsolved, isn't it?
Yeah. Say, what did you hear Archie Purcell and that girl talk about while they were here, Ethelbert, huh?
Oh, he introduced me to the gal. Mentioned he just bought ringside seats for the big fight on Saturday night, right in the middle of the third row.
The third row?
Mm-hmm. He and the gal was going together, he said.
And he bought them?
Uh-huh. From a scalper.
Scalpers are getting $200 apiece for ducats like that, and Archie's job can't pay much more than that a month.
Well, Casey, do you suppose they...
Say, it's peculiar.
Yeah, pal. It's very peculiar.
Will you answer that, Whitey?
Okay, Brent. Hello.
I'd like to speak to either Mr. Kelton or Mr. Watts.
Kelton speaking.
This is Archie Purcell.
I don't know you, friend.
You may have heard of my father, Police Lieutenant Frank Purcell.
I've heard of him.
We thought you might like to talk over a little matter with me. I'm downstairs in the lobby of your hotel right now.
We'll be right down.
What is it, Whitey?
The shakedown we expected. But not from the source we expected.
What do you mean?
Down in Florida, they told us the guy who fixed things in this town was Lansing. The guy to be careful of was Purcell. Purcell's son just gave me the come hither.
This don't sound right.
We'll soon see how right it is. Put your coat on, Brent, and let's go.
imagine you gentlemen have convinced yourselves of my identity.
You're Lieutenant Purcell's son, all right.
What do you want?
You two are professional gamblers from Florida. Don't you know this is a closed town?
We're willing to play ball, but friends down in Florida told us we'd get a call from a gentleman named Lansing.
My father is head of the gambling squad.
I see. You mean there'll be no arrests if we play ball with you?
Figure it out.
You've identified this gentleman as Purcell's son, Whitey.
Yeah. Okay. What do we kick in, Purcell?
$1,000 a week.
Hey, that's murder.
We're not big timers. We run small games.
$1,000 a week in advance.
No.
We're hooked, Whitey. Pay the man.
Okay, Brent. But remember, kid, this buys us complete protection.
Thanks for the tip, Casey. And to you, Miss Williams. I didn't know my son was running around with this Mildred saleswoman. We're going to have a talk with Archie.
Now, we may be all wrong about her, Lieutenant Purcell.
I hope we are, Frank.
Excuse me. Gambling squad, Lieutenant Purcell speaking.
I got a red-hot tip for you, Lieutenant.
Who is this?
Never mind that. You can pick up 2 card shops. They're registered at the Hotel Fultonian. There's Brent Watts and George Kelton. There's a poker party going on in their suite right now. That's all. Goodbye.
I couldn't help but hear that one, Frank. The old anonymous tipster.
A lot of our information comes in that way, Casey. Most of it's on the level. I've got to leave you and Miss Williams. Go to work.
A little surprise visit to the Hotel Fultonian?
Right away.
Let's tag along, Casey.
Why not, Annie? Let's go. What is it?
Hey, what's the idea you cops busting in here?
All of you men are under arrest.
You're making a big mistake, fella. Before you make a bigger one, I suggest you get in touch with your boss. And tell him you've busted in on Brent Watts and Whitey Kelton. Tell that to Lieutenant Frank Purcell.
Yeah? I happen to be Lieutenant Purcell.
What?
You?
Just why did you want to get that little message to me?
Hey, there's been a slip-up, Brent.
Yeah. Guess you haven't talked to your son since he saw us.
My son?
Uh-huh. Can I have a word with you alone?
Anything you have to say can be said right here.
Okay. If you want it that way. We fixed your son with $1,000 this afternoon for complete protection.
What happened to them gamblers, Casey?
Lieutenant Purcell got the full story about Archie from them, then took them to headquarters and put them in cells.
Archie had traded on his father's reputation to extort dough, huh?
Yeah.
What does he say about it? Archie, I mean.
Oh, he hasn't been found yet. And Mildred denied that she knew anything about Archie's fix racket.
Yeah, but the whole thing smells like old Iron Hat Lansing. One of his lawyers sprung the 2 guys this morning.
What does Lansing get out of it, Casey?
He's thrown suspicion of bribery on Frank Purcell.
Well, how? Purcell raided them gamblers and threw them into the cooler, which proves he wasn't protecting them like his son promised.
Yeah, but a lot of people will think there was a slip-up, though, Ethelbert. That Archie neglected to tell his father.
I wouldn't. On the strength of just this one instance.
No, I wouldn't either, Casey. And their accusation can't be blown up into a news story. Nothing novel about racketeers accusing cops of dirty work. Last night's affair won't even get into print.
Well, not as it stands now, but...
There's the bar phone. Excuse me.
Go ahead, answer it.
Blue Note Cafe,
well.
Ethelbert speaking. Just a second. Your city desk, Casey.
Huh? Oh.
Your city desk.
Hello. Yeah, she's here, too, for Haskins Memorial Hospital. Archie Purcell.
Archie Purcell?
We'll get there on the jump. Goodbye.
Casey, what's the matter?
The story will get into print now, Annie. Big print. Archie was taken to the hospital a few minutes ago after being found in an alley, beaten almost to death.
Perhaps once in a decade, a new material is perfected which changes our standards of value. Now, such a material is jadeite, spelled Jadeite, jadeite. It makes possible dinnerware unlike anything you've known. Jadeite is really beautiful. It has the lovely texture and color of rare Chinese porcelain. And jadeite is unbelievably strong. It stands up under rough handling without chipping or cracking, and is so heat-proof you can safely put it in a hot oven. Yet jadeite actually costs less than the most ordinary dinnerware. For instance, a big jadeite platter costs only 25 cents in open stock, and a 35-piece dinner service for 6 is priced at less than $5 at your favorite chain store, department store, hardware store, or other store selling chinaware and glass. A set of jadeite is a perfect gift, and it makes it easy to replenish your own supply of dinnerware. Jadeite is the newest triumph of anchor hocking. The most famous name in glass.
Since the doctors wouldn't let us see Archie Purcell, Captain Logan, suppose you tell us what he had to say, if anything.
Well, he confirmed the story Watson Kelton had already told.
Shook him down for $1,000.
Yeah, Casey. He completely absolves his father of having any knowledge of his fix racket. And that won't help Frank Purcell much with the commissioner or the public.
No. What did Archie tell you about Mildred Sells?
He denies that she put him up to his racket or that she knew what he was doing.
What did she have to say?
Denies everything we think is so. We can't even hold her.
Well, who gave Archie his beating?
He says he doesn't know. Says it happened so suddenly he had no chance to see what the two guys looked like.
The two guys, huh?
Watts and Kelton were freed on bail this morning.
They had plenty of motive to go after Archie, Miss Williams. And when my men find him, they'll have to prove they didn't do the job.
Did you find anything at the scene of the beating?
No, but the guys who worked on Archie didn't do it just for fun. They cleaned his pockets before they left him.
Well, they took his dough, huh?
Took everything. Come in.
Detective Gridford just brought in those two gamblers, Watson Kelton, sir.
That's fine.
But they claim to have an alibi for the time of the beating.
Yeah?
They say they were with the lawyer who sprung him this morning at John Ferris. And here's his home phone number, sir.
I'll call him right now. Not that I'd take the unsupported word on a Lansing's trained mouthpieces. It's beginning to look as though an alibi has been carefully set up for him, Casey. Hello. I want to speak to Mr. Ferris, please. Oh, Ferris, this is Captain Logan. We've got two new clients of yours here at headquarters, Watts and Kelton. I'm sure you can tell me where they were between 8 and 9 this evening. Huh? You haven't seen them since noon today.
No alibi?
Thanks. That's all. Goodbye. You hear that, Casey?
Yeah. Gives me the idea that those guys may be telling the truth and somebody's trying to frame them.
Yeah. Ferris may have got him to his house tonight just so they couldn't establish a real alibi elsewhere.
But why?
I don't know, Miss Williams. Yet. Sergeant, bring in Watson Kelton. We'll hear what they have to say.
Well, Logan, they said they'd been framed.
Yeah, for a solid hour, they said it, Casey.
Mm-hmm. And it sounded on the level.
Well, the setup's fairly plain, Logan. Iron Hat's a shrewd guy. The anonymous tip that made Frank Purcell raid that game was just the first part of his scheme. He knew the squawk they'd make about Archie would attract enough attention to discredit Lieutenant Purcell, so Iron Hat has a near murder performed on Archie that's sure to hit the front pages. And he makes sure it'll stay on the front pages by framing Watson Kelton as the near murderers.
Yeah, he's sure going to make it look bad for an honest guy like Lieutenant Purcell.
What can you do about it?
As things stand now, nothing.
I'm not so sure of that, Logan. Archie's pockets were empty when he was found.
Yeah.
Well, I have to know he had a pair of tickets for the big fight tomorrow night. It's 100 to 1 that they were on him when he was frisked. I'm wondering if the guys who took him won't use us.
Hey, if we could pick those guys up and make them talk.
Archie can tell us the location of those seats.
Yeah, not for a couple of days. The docks have them filled with drugs, and the fight's tomorrow night.
What? Oh,
now, wait a minute. Ethelbert said they were in the 3rd or 4th row center.
There's over 20 sections in that arena, Miss Williams, and unless we know what...
Wait a minute, wait. Mildred Sells knows. She was going to the fight with Archie.
She won't tell.
Well, she might tell me a lot of things, pal. She's worried about Archie, and she likes him. When I call on her, I have a hunch she may get confidential with a sympathetic friend.
Well, just come from the hospital, Casey.
Yes, Mildred.
Well, how is Archie?
I got some news, Mildred. It was not pleasant.
Well, Archie isn't...
No. He isn't dead. But he's in pretty bad shape.
Oh, no.
The docs say he has a chance to pull through if he wants to.
If
he realizes what he's done to his old man. He hasn't got much interest in living.
I know.
How do you suppose Archie got himself into this mess, huh?
Oh, I don't know.
Said he wanted the dough to spend on you.
The cops told me that.
What gave him the idea to get the dough that way?
I don't know.
Archie was going to take you to the fight tonight. Huh?
Yeah.
He had tickets for swell seats. Remember where they were?
I couldn't forget. He was so proud of having gotten them. He told me over and over.
Yeah. Where were they?
Numbers 8 and 9 in the third row of Section F. Why?
Just curious. You know, Mildred, you're the only one who can save Archie's life.
Casey, what do you mean?
He's going to die unless it can be proven that he was just a fall guy in this fix setup. And that he was pushed into it so his old man would be kicked out of the police department. He won't say that you had anything to do with it because he's in love with you. He's protecting you. But if you care anything about him, you'll tell me and you'll tell the cops that Iron Hat Lansing engineered this whole raw deal.
If I do talk to you and the cops, Casey, I'll be arrested for murder.
What?
But I'm going to talk.
Wait a minute, I don't
I
get
went to work for Tim Lansing after Mike Warren was killed. I had to because Lansing had evidence that would convict me of the killing.
You shot
No, I didn't shoot Warren. I don't know who did. But I'd written a crazy letter threatening to kill him. He and I had been friends. He'd gotten tired of it. Well, Lansing found that letter and held it over me.
Yeah, that sounds like Iron Hat.
About Archie, Lansing told me to make a play for him, to get him to spend more money than he could afford to. Then to suggest that he could get easy money by shaking down gamblers in his father's name. I did it. And then I fell in love with him. But I didn't know he was going to be hurt like this. I didn't know.
Come on down to headquarters, kid. We'll tell all this to Captain Logan.
All right, I'll get my coat. Someone's at the door. I'll see who it is.
And give him a quick brush off.
Yes, I will.
Hello, Mildred.
Mr. Lansing.
Huh?
I happened to be near your apartment, so I thought I'd drop in. Well, Casey.
Hello, Lansing.
What are you doing here?
Casey and I are old friends.
Oh, I didn't know that. How's the picture-taking business, son?
Just about the same, Daddy, like that derby you wear.
Yeah, hard hat's the only sensible hat, boy. And since you've got your hat in your hand, guess you're fixing to leave. Don't let me stop you.
I was going with Casey, Mr. Lansing. He said he'd drop me off at a store. I have some shopping to do.
Pretty late for shopping, Mildred. Anyway, I want to have a little talk with you. A private talk. Nice to see you, Casey. So long.
Wait downstairs, Casey.
Okay. So long, Mildred.
So long.
See you later, Lansing.
Goodbye, son.
Don't ring for the elevator, pal.
What?
We'll take the stairs, you and me.
That gun in your hand makes me agree to that.
Yeah, I figured it would.
What's this all about?
Me and a friend are taking you for a little ride. A nice drive out to the seashore.
Look, how much longer are you guys going to keep me in this beach house here?
Like I told you before, Bud, we're waiting for orders.
Whose orders?
That's something we ain't saying.
Yeah, I hope we get them orders pretty soon. I want to see that fight.
Fight?
Yeah, me and my pal has ringside tickets to the big scrap tonight, Bud.
Yeah. Ringside tickets, huh?
Right down in front.
Oh, seats like that are hard to get.
We didn't have no trouble.
It was easy. Hey, car's driving up.
Give a look out the window.
Butch.
He'll be bringing our orders.
He's also bringing the cell thing.
The Celtic? I see.
Open the door for Butch.
I'm doing it.
Here's more company for you guys. Get in, sister.
Casey!
Hello, Mildred.
I didn't know they had you, too.
They got me, thanks to Iron Hat, I guess.
Yes, he told me he had me watched. He came to my apartment because he'd gotten a report that you were there and he was afraid I'd talk.
Yeah. He had them grab me in case you had.
Yeah.
That's enough conversation for you two. Sit down, sister, and shut up.
Hey, do we bump the two of them off, Butch?
Yeah, but not yet.
You guys will stand guard over him till the boss comes out here after the fight tonight.
He's going to the fight while we stay here?
That's his orders.
Not. Hey, we want to see that fight.
This'll do as you're told. I'm heading back to town now. I'm going to the scrap myself. So long.
A fault, a lousy...
It ain't fair, it ain't.
Hey, why don't you gentlemen go to the fight? We'd be glad to stay here till you come back.
Wise guy, ain't you, bud?
Hey, got an idea at that.
Are you nuts?
No, we can tie these babies up, can't we? We'll get back here before the boss shows up.
Well, I'm beginning to believe you got brains.
Sure, I got brains.
Hey, what if the boss sees us at the fight?
He won't, because his seats are on the other side of the ring. I saw his ticket.
Yeah, come on, let's get to work. And this was really your suggestion, fella.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Why haven't I learned to keep my big mouth shut? I slipped the gag off my mouth, Mildred. Now, listen. Wait. I can see your hands. They weren't as careful with you as they were with me. I think you can get loose. Now, go to work, kid. Go to work.
I'm free, Casey.
All right, get the wire off me.
That won't take very long. I only have to untie it. It isn't tied and very tight.
I feel plenty tight.
Wait a minute. There. Got it off your hands.
Jiminy, what a relief. All right, I can get it off my feet.
Casey.
What? There's a car driving up.
What do you suppose that is?
Get to that window and see, will you?
All right. Stop outside. Get that wire off your feet.
I'm working on it right now.
Casey, it's Lansing.
Lansing?
He's getting out of the car.
He must have decided to skip the fight. Is anybody with him?
No. He was alone. He's coming toward the door. Get that wire off, Casey.
This is a tight knot.
Well, untie it quick.
Open up in there. You fellas see me drive up?
Casey, quick.
I'm doing the best I can.
Everyone asleep in there?
He may have the key if he comes in here before you get that off.
Put me down.
You see, he has the key.
Okay, kid. I'm finally free.
There he is.
And here he goes. I don't like to hit old guys like you, Iron Hat, but you didn't give me much choice.
He carries a gun, Casey. Get it.
I got it. Come on, Lansing, get up. We're going to drive you in your car to police headquarters.
I had a feeling I should have come out here sooner than I planned, Casey. It seems I wasn't smart to come alone.
Nobody in your racket is smart, Lansing. Come on. We're going to the nearest precinct station.
Yeah, as soon as I pick up my hat, you knocked it off.
Come on, pick up your derby. You look naked without it.
Yeah, I'm attached to this old hat, and here's the ring.
He had another gun in that hat.
You take the next bullet.
No, Lansing, you take it. I had your other gun, you know.
Casey, you've got him. You're bleeding.
He only got me through the shoulder. It's not bad.
No, come on, sit down. Let me stop that blood.
Now, let me see what I did to him first. Pick up that second gun he dropped. Will you?
Your aim's as rotten as mine, Casey. I got it in the shoulder, too.
That's swell. I don't like to kill even rats like you. Well, let's make sure you haven't got still another gat on you. It's a neat trick, that rod in your derby.
There's a frame inside that held it, Casey.
I see it.
Yeah, you won't find another rod in me, boy. Two have always been enough until now. Look here, you young people. I've got lots of dough. We can make a deal.
Sure, we'll make a deal. A deal that'll put you out of circulation for attempted murder. Come on, let's get started.
We'll join the crowd at the Blue Note in just a moment. You know, American children are the healthiest children in the world, largely because most American babies now get a good, sound start in life. Much of the credit for this is due to our American food packers who produce convenient, scientifically prepared baby foods. The young mother can now give her baby well-balanced, nourishing meals without spending endless extra hours in the kitchen. In selecting prepared baby foods for your baby, whether fruits, vegetables, soups, or meats, it's wise to insist on two things. One, a brand name with which you're familiar, and two, a glass jar. Sterile, crystal-clear Anchor glass jars can't possibly affect purity or flavor. And because you heat and serve foods in the same glass jars in which you buy them, and then reseal the jars to store leftovers, mothers save precious hours each week. Most of the better brands of prepared baby foods are packed in clean, sanitary Anchor glass jars and sealed under vacuum with easy-to-open, easy-to-reseal Anchor caps. Both products of Anchor Hocking. The most famous name in glass.
Mildred Sells ain't going to be accused of the Mike Warren murder, huh?
No, not a chance, Ethelbert. A very good reason that the bullet found in Warren's body years ago was fired from the automatic that Lansing wore in his iron hat.
A ballistics comparison proved that beyond any doubt.
Lansing killed Warren?
Mm-hmm. After he found the letter that would incriminate Mildred if suspicion were pointed his way.
Well, what do you know?
At least one other thing. The DA won't bear down too heavy on the extortion charges against Archie. He and Mildred are going to be married.
The DA and Mildred?
Oh.
Oh, no, of course not. Excuse me.
Right, boy.
You know, this has turned out so nice and romantical, it makes me feel good. Almost like throwing a party on the house.
Almost.
With that big bandage on your shoulder, you couldn't lift a glass, Casey. Ain't it too bad?
Yeah. Al, I got news for you. I got one good arm.
And I've got two good ones to help both of us with.
Oh. Why don't I learn to keep my big mouth shut?
Crime Photographer, starring Stotts Cotsworth as Casey, is written by Alonzo Dean Cole. It is brought to you each Thursday by the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation, makers of Fire King Oven Glass, Anchor Glass Containers, Anchor Caps and Closures, all products of Anchor Hocking, the most famous name in glass. Photographer is directed by John Dietz and is based on the fictional character of Flash Gun Casey, created by George Harmon Cox. Original music is by Archie Blyer, and the program features Miss Jan Miner as Anne and John Gibson as Ethelbert. Herman Chittison is the Blue Note pianist. Once again, it is your privilege to aid in the increasing fight against suffering, disease, and disaster. Once again, your American Red Cross confidently appeals to American generosity to support its humane work. This year, then, give a little more, because the need is greater. This is Tony Marvin saying good night for the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, with offices in all principal cities of the United States and Canada. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System. The Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation brings you Crime Photographer.
Hi, Ethelbert. What are you thinking of?
I was just thinking how differently they teach kids to write today.
You mean you went to school, Ethelbert?
What I mean is they don't teach them to write the ABCs today.
No?
No, they teach them to write whole words.
That sounds reasonable.
Look, here's a page from my little nephew's copybook. Read it.
Wow. This is something we got to get Tony Marvin to read. You go ahead, Tony.
Oh, what a beautiful thought, Casey. It says here 16 times, one after the other, Anchor Hocking, the most famous name in glass. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Tony Marvin. Every week at this time, the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, and its more than 10,000 employees bring you another adventure of Casey, crime photographer, ace cameraman who covers the crime news of a great city. Our adventure for tonight, Tough Guy. Saturday night, shortly before 10 o'clock. A side street cab stand on the fringes of the city's theatrical district. A tall man, dressed entirely in gray, detaches himself from the doorway of a shabby hotel where he's been loitering and approaches a taxi that has just moved up to the first place in line. He opens its door and...
Take me up to 132nd Street.
Yes, sir. We're bouncing 132nd.
I'll tell you when we get there. Just take the shortest way.
Okay.
You a good driver?
I don't get no complaints.
You look kind of young to me, inexperienced. How long you been hacking?
Long enough?
Yes, how long?
Couple of months.
I figured you were kind of wet behind the ears.
Look, mister, I drove army tanks from Normandy right up to Berlin. I think that ought to qualify me to sit behind the wheel of a hack.
Oh, you're an ex-GI, huh? Your hack license here says your name is Isidore Goldfarb.
That's right.
Watch your driving, Izzy, and watch your step, and we won't have no trouble.
Now, look here, mister, I don't like your kind of talk. If you're looking for trouble, get yourself another taxi. And
I like this taxi, and I like you, Izzy. You know where the Sutter Avenue Theater is?
Yeah, it's off 132nd.
Well, drive me past there after we get to 132nd. I want to see what movie's playing at the Sutter Avenue Theater. Turn around here, Izzy, and take me past the Sutter Avenue again.
I already drove you past that theater twice, mister. What are you going to...
For the third time.
Okay, well, what's the big idea?
What do you care as long as you get your fare paid? It's a good picture playing at the Sutter Avenue. About cops and robbers. It's exciting, I hear. You like pictures about cops and robbers, Izzy?
Yeah, they're all right.
Yeah. They're made for jerks like you.
Now, wait a minute.
They teach you that crime don't pay. Stop here, let me out.
Mister, I'll be glad to.
There's $2. So long.
Wait a minute, Mac. The meter says $2.40.
You want to make something out of it?
Oh, I guess that's a gun you're holding inside your pocket, huh?
You start something, you'll find out if it is. I was only kidding about the dough, Sap. Here's a 5 spot. Keep the change and forget you ever saw me. Remember that, punk. So long.
No one's pushing Isidore Goldfarb around like he did and getting away with it. I drove right here to your precinct house here.
Well, where'd the guy go when he left you, Goldfarb?
He ducked around the corner of Olive Street. That's the last I seen of him.
Well, you just figured he had a gun in his pocket, didn't you? You didn't see it.
Yeah, but the cloth bulged out like there was a gat underneath.
Mm-hmm. Well, what do you think of it, Casey?
Sounds like the old gag, Sarge.
Gag?
Yeah. Goldfarb, what you've told us, this guy probably wouldn't have gotten into your cab if you hadn't been a new hacky.
What's that got to do?
Son, this world is full of screwballs. One particular kind decides he's got to impress somebody. Often he gets into a cab and starts to act tough like he's seen done in gangster movies.
Yeah, old-time hackies are wise the type, though, pal, and they either humor the guys or give them a quick brush-off. Well, you took this dope seriously, so we went through with the whole act, even suggesting he'd pull a rod on you.
Yeah, it's 20 to 1 that the gat was nothing more dangerous than a pipe.
But why'd he have to drive me past the Sutter Avenue Theater 3 times?
That was part of his mystery build-up. This world is full of screwballs, son.
You mean I just been played for sap, then?
I think so, because the last thing a real crook wants to do is attract attention from anyone. But I'll take down this guy's description just in case.
Yeah, he was tall and skinny. He was dressed all in gray, light gray hat, dark gray overcoat.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
47 Precinct Police Station, Sergeant Bonelli speaking. Hold up and murder.
Huh?
Sutter Avenue Theater?
Sutter Avenue?
Yes, I've got it. Men will be there in a jump. Goodbye.
Hey, what is it, Sarge? What is it?
Theater manager and girl cashier stuck up by a lone heist guy dressed all in gray.
All in gray?
Looks like the gag's on us, Goldfarb. Now, you stick with us. We may need you.
Right.
Olson?
Yeah?
Rush a detail over to the Sutter Avenue Theater.
Yes.
Fogarty?
Yeah.
We'll have to call the call cars. Pick up slender man about 6 feet tall, wearing light gray fedora and dark gray overcoat. Advise caution, he's a killer.
Right. That's right.
Hey, who'd he kill, Sarge?
The theater manager. I'm calling Captain Logan a homicide.
Yeah. I'm getting to that theater with my camera. Wait just a minute, Miss Summers. I want still another picture of you. Stand on the left side of that office door this time, huh?
I'm so upset, Mr. Casey. I can't pose anymore.
Look, this won't take a sec. This will be a profile shot. You've got a swell profile here.
Break it up, Casey.
Uh-oh. You finally got here, Logan, huh?
I'm here, and you'll take no more pictures. Hey, you precinct guys had no business to let this newspaper...
Don't blame them, pal. I got here at the same time they did.
Pipe down. The dead man's in that office, Sergeant?
Yes, Captain. Nothing's been disturbed in there. After we made sure he was dead, we came right out here in the lobby and closed that door.
Hey, you tech men, get in there and do your stuff. You too, Doc.
Yes, Captain.
This girl, the cashier?
Yes.
She's got a name as cute as she is, Logan. Betsy Summers.
It's Betty, not Betsy.
Oh, Betty's cute, too.
Shut up, Casey. Miss Summers, my report is that you witnessed the hold-up and murders.
Yes, sir.
I'm Captain Logan, Homicide Squad. Please tell me everything that happened.
Well, I work in the booth out by the main doors. I'm the ticket seller. Tonight, as I always do after the feature goes on for the last time, I checked the last of the day's receipts, closed the booth, and brought the money and the remainder of the last ticket roll used to Mr. Mackle's office.
Mackle's your theater manager?
He was.
Now, go on, please.
Well, as usual, he was inside checking the previous receipts I'd given him, and his door was locked.
The door being locked as usual.
Yes. Yes, I knocked, and just as he opened the door, a hand was pressed down over my mouth. A man had come up behind me I hadn't seen or heard him. When the door opened, he pushed me inside, closed the door, and said he'd shoot Mr. Mackle and me if we made any noise.
Had a gun, huh?
We found the gun, Captain.
Now, wait, Sergeant. Go on, Miss Summers.
The man told Mr. Mackle to open the safe, and Mr. Mackle did as he was told. Then he must have thought he saw a chance to grab his gun. Anyway, he jumped at the man, and the man shot him. And then the man ran out that door, and I screamed. People finally heard me. They came to the office, and that's all I know.
Anyone see him make his getaway?
We haven't found anyone who did, sir.
Logan, take a look at this layout here. There's a fire exit leading to an alley only a few yards away from the door of that office. The guy went out that way, then through the alley to the street and back, which isn't heavily traveled.
We know he did that because he found his gun at the alley only a few feet from that fire exit.
Now, let's see the gun.
Here, sir. .32 revolver, no fingerprint on it.
One shell fired. Very recently. Now, Miss Summers, I understand you were able to provide a good description of the bandit.
Well, I can't be sure about his face, Captain. Things happened so quickly, and his hat was pulled down, his overcoat collar turned up, but I am sure about his height, his figure, and his clothes.
That's more than most witnesses are sure of.
Hey, Logan, have you heard about a previous report made by a cab driver on a mug answering the same description?
What's that?
A hacky named Goldfarb came to the precinct house just before this job was pulled, Captain.
Now, one thing at a time, you fellas. I want to know about this hacky and about everything else, but first let me get a complete picture of what's happened here. Now, Miss Summers, how much money did the stick-up get away with?
I guess about $6,000.
Not a bad haul. Now, you say your screams finally brought help to you, Miss Summers. Didn't anyone hear the shot that killed Mackerel?
No.
The picture being shown here, Logan, is a crime picture. At the time the shot was fired in that office, a noisy gun battle was coming over the soundtrack.
I see. Well, I'll take a look inside that office now.
Captain Logan.
Yeah?
I've got the guy in gray.
You've got...
You're nuts putting a pinch on me, copper.
Come on, you...
That's the man who held us up, Captain. He's the man who shot Mr. Mackle.
What's this babe talking about? I never saw her before.
I saw you. I recognize your clothes. You're the killer.
Shut up. Where'd you find this guy, officer?
I spotted him in the crowd outside.
I was there for the same reason the crowd is. I heard there'd been a stick-up.
Shut up, I said. You searched him?
First thing, sir. There's no gun on him, and he's not carrying the stolen dough.
Yeah, we know what he did with his gun. You fellow, where's the money you took? I asked you a question. Answer it.
Twice before, you told me to shut up. I'm taking that advice till I see my lawyer.
Stuff like that'll get you no place. Where's the dough?
I give it to charity.
Well, since you want to play it the hard way, take him down to headquarters, boys.
Ethelbert, have Walter bring me up another cup of coffee, will you?
Sure, Casey. Hey, Walter! Another cup of Java for this guy who never gets his breakfast before noon. How about you, Miss Williams?
No, thanks. I don't want to spoil my appetite for lunch.
Well, you were able to get to bed at a decent hour last night, Annie. I had to follow up that theater job.
Finish telling us what happened after the cops took that guy in gray down to headquarters, huh, pal?
Well, they identified him as a small-time crook by the name of Clint Morris.
Uh-huh.
He's been rapped a couple of times, but no gun stuff. There's none that's on the record. Goldfarb, the hacky, positively identified him as the tough guy he drove past the Sutter Avenue Theater 3 times. And got out of his cab only a block away from him.
But he admitted nothing.
Not a thing, no. That guy's really tough.
Well, his toughness won't get him anywhere. Not with the evidence he's up against.
No. That evidence is far from complete, Annie. He's still got to be connected with that stolen dough.
Well, he will be. Just give the cops a little time. When they have an almost closed case like this, it isn't often they fail to shut it tight.
Yeah, but I can't help wondering about a lot of things.
What thing?
No, I'm probably all wrong. I won't stick my neck out this time. But when and if I ever get that second cup of coffee, Annie, let's you and me go down to headquarters and see what's happened since last night.
This is what's happened. The case against Morris is completely blown up.
Blown up?
Captain.
And you helped do it, Casey.
But me?
No, I'm glad it happened now instead of later. The pictures you took of Morris right after his arrest, pal, one of them ran in this morning's Express.
Uh-huh. Right on page 1, too.
Well, a guy saw it. A conscientious guy who runs a corner drugstore only 3 blocks from that theater.
Yeah.
He comes in here with 3 other guys about an hour ago, and they all swear that Morris was in the drugstore when the stick-up and the murder was committed.
So Morris has an alibi.
He has a perfect alibi.
Yeah, I figured he might have.
You figured
Well, after I woke up this morning, when it was too late to do anything about it.
It's funny, Casey. I got about the same idea at about the same time.
Yeah?
You men are so clairvoyant.
No, Annie, no. We're slow on the uptake.
In fact, we're dumb.
I don't get it.
Sit down, chums. Let's have a meeting of the so-called minds.
Here's how to brighten up your breakfast table for years to come at a cost of only $1 or $2. Get a few cups and saucers, a few plates of gay, colorful jadeite. Yes, jadeite, the revolutionary new dinnerware developed by Anchor Hocking. Jadeite is a delicate, inviting green in color. It has the texture of rare and costly porcelain. Yet jadeite is as strong and heat-proof as the Fire King oven glass you use for baking. And jadeite is incredibly low in price. For instance, a cup and saucer cost only 15 cents for the 2 pieces, and a complete 35-piece dinner service for 6 is yours for less than $5. Ask for jadeite at your favorite chain store, department store, hardware store, or any store selling chinaware and glass. Remember jadeite, spelled Jadeite. Jadeite, newest triumph of Anchor Hocking. The most famous name in glass.
First, Logan, have you freed Morris?
No, but I'll have trouble holding him much longer. We've got nothing on him now.
Well, his alibi is on the level. There's nothing he can tell you.
I think there's plenty he could tell, Annie. I guess Logan does, too.
Yeah. The guy made himself look guilty, Miss Williams.
You mean by his actions with that cab driver?
Why, sure. Morris deliberately called attention to himself.
I figure now, when it's a little late. And he was working with another guy. Another guy about his height and figure who wore the same kind of clothes.
And the other man did the sticker.
Yeah. While Morris was establishing an alibi. And Morris got himself arrested, so the other guy'd have plenty of chance to get away with the dough.
I don't altogether agree with that theory, pal.
Why not?
Well, why should there have been another man in the deal?
Well, the girl cashier saw him.
Yeah, and only the cashier saw him.
Well, that girl.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah, she was trusted by her boss. He'd have opened his safe while she was there as a matter of course. She could have shot him under cover of that noisy picture and have thrown the gun into the alley from that fire exit.
Well, sure. Stuck the dough in a temporary hiding place before she yelled.
Yeah.
Morris, her boyfriend, would be pinched for the job before any kind of a search could be made. Well, you let her go. Well, she's had all night and this morning to recover that dough and to really hide it.
Have I been dumb?
Well, have I been dumber? I listened to Goldfarb and told him his tough guy passenger had been putting on an act. And I fell for the act.
I'll turn Morris loose, have him tailed night and day. Eventually, he'll contact that Summers gal or whoever worked with him, and then...
Yeah. That'll take a long time, Logan.
Well, of course, you know a quick, easy way.
Maybe. The Summers babe is a pretty cute little number.
What's her looks got to do with it?
Oh, to Casey, a gal's looks have everything to do with everything about it.
Now, you're wrong, Annie. You're wrong. But that applies to a lot of guys less smart than I am. It might apply to Morris.
What are you driving at?
Well, deals between men and women that result in robbery and murder are seldom just business deals, Logan. Look, they made us fall for a corny old trick, pal. I think we can make them fall for one, too.
I know my right, Captain. You got no excuse for keeping me here. 2 days ago, you learned I had an alibi, that I couldn't have pulled a theater stick-up. Now, you gotta let me go.
Take it easy, Morris. We can hold you on suspicion. Casey, this guy denies everything.
Mm-hmm. He sounds on the level to me, Logan.
You don't know his kind like I do.
I am on a level. Oh, look, Casey, you're not a cop. You must know I'm getting a raw deal here. Can't you do something through your paper?
Oh, no, I'd like to, Morris, but you know how things are.
Yeah, sure. You got to string along with these coppers or you don't get news or pictures. You got to be as lousy as they are.
Come in.
Inspector Phillips wants to see you, Captain.
I'll be right with him. Morris, don't try to crash out on Casey while you're alone with him.
Bad chance with bars on the windows and steel doors with cops outside it.
I think you'll stay here. See you later.
You know, I'm really sorry for you, Morris. You are getting a raw deal.
Nuts, Casey. You're just like the cops.
No. Because I think I owe you something.
You owe me something?
Yeah.
What?
Well, if it hadn't been for you, I wouldn't have been a swell babe.
Babe?
Mm-hmm. The cashier at that theater. Betty Summers.
What about her?
I've been getting acquainted. She went to dinner with me last night.
Yeah?
Uh-huh. Yeah. Got another date with her tonight, too. And she's the kind of a gal I really go for. I guess she isn't finding me too hard to take either.
Why tell me about your love life?
Well, because, by accident, of course, you got me acquainted with her. Yeah, the only fault I find with her is that she's too easy to know.
Oh, she is, huh?
Yeah.
Well, all I know or care about her is that she made a phony identification of me.
Oh, she doesn't admit it was her phony.
You're nuts. How could you claim otherwise when my alibi's been proved?
Haven't the cops told you?
Cops don't tell me anything. Hey, look. That gal doesn't really hold out on me being the guy.
Oh, I shouldn't have mentioned that. I didn't know.
So that's why they're still keeping me here. And she's going places with you.
Well, going places with me has nothing to do with her insistence that you were the stick-up man, in spite of your alibi.
Well, thank her for what she's doing when you see her tonight, Casey. Tell her I don't forget little favors like that.
Hey, you're not threatening my gal, are you?
Your gal? No. I'm not threatening anybody, Casey.
Well, thanks very much for letting me take these additional pictures of you, Miss Summers.
Oh, you're welcome, Mr. Casey.
You know, it's an awful nice little apartment you have here.
It's comfortable. Rent's cheap.
That's good.
That's all a working gal can ask for. Which reminds me, I got to be getting to work. You'll excuse me, of course.
Oh, sure, yeah. I'll be on the way right away. Say, I guess it isn't easy for you to go back to that theater every day after what happened.
No, it isn't. I think I'll have to give it up and get another job.
Uh-huh.
By the way, the papers say that the police are still holding that man, that Morris, that I was so mistaken about.
Oh, yeah. They may hold on to him for quite a while.
Why? It's been proved he couldn't have shot Mr. Mackel and stolen that money.
Well, off the record, Miss Summers, the cops have an idea he may have been working with the real heist guy, see? But if he was, he's got no big worries, and he knows it. You know, Morris is a smart guy.
What do you mean?
Well, even if it can be proved that he connived in the crime, his alibi puts him in the clear as far as a murder rap's concerned. You see, his partner takes the rap all the way along the line. His partner did the killing, his partner took the money, and Morris took an alibi. Pretty dumb, that partner, whoever he is. Don't you think so?
Why, yes, but, Mr. Casey, I thought...
What?
I thought that when two people plan a crime together, they take the same chance, and if they're caught, both are considered equally guilty. Isn't that the law?
Well, in principle, yeah, but not in practice. You see, Morris is an experienced guy, and he protected himself. He's quite a character, that Morris. Miss Summers, as a woman, would you figure that low-browed, sour-looking string bean is hot stuff with a gal?
I don't know what you mean.
Well, the cops have found out that he's left broken-hearted dames all over the country. He loves them and leaves them, usually with all their dough in his pocket, too. Quite a guy, huh? Oh, say, look, we're chewing the fat here. You want to get started. Well, I'll run along, and thanks again for letting me come up and shoot those extra pictures, Miss Summers.
You're welcome, Mr. Casey.
So long.
Bye. Who's there?
Me, Clint.
Clint?
Let me in.
Just a minute.
I'll close and lock the door.
You've escaped.
No, the cops turned me loose a couple hours ago. I'm legally free. Surprised, ain't you, Betty?
Surprised that you were foolish enough to come to my apartment. We're not supposed to know each other, and if you were followed...
I wasn't followed. I'm smart enough to know when I'm being tailed.
You're smart in a lot of ways.
Yeah. So are you, babe.
I wasn't, but I'm learning.
You learn fast. Too fast.
No, I learned almost too late. But I can think when an idea hits me in the face, Clint. And I've been thinking hard ever since I started for work this afternoon. I'm glad to see you tonight.
That goes double. Everything you said. But I thought I might have to stall around before I could see you. You said your boyfriend left.
My boyfriend?
Yeah, I listened for a long time outside your door there to make sure he was alone.
What are you talking about?
You played me for a sap.
I played you for a sap.
And how? After my brains playing that theater job. I even told you how and when to shoot your boss and where to hide the dough.
Sure. You planned all the dirty work for me while you set up an alibi that'd keep you in the clear.
That alibi will keep me in the clear. Even if you had the chance to rat on me. And you're the kind of wood rat, you little double-crosser. Trying to keep me in jail, going out with guys the minute I'm put away.
I didn't...
Don't lie to me.
Clint, let me go.
I'm going to kill you for what you did. I'm going to kill you.
Your mitts over her throat, Morris.
Take them all. Lock it.
You cops were outside that door listening?
And we heard a mouthful from both of you.
Your alibi won't do much good now, Morris.
This was a plant case. You trapped.
Yeah, now you walk right into it.
Casey, you...
Call me sweetie, Betty. Or didn't you know that I'm your boyfriend?
We'll join the crowd at the Blue Note in just a moment. I'd like to remind the thousands of people in the United States listening to this program of one simple fact. You can now buy your favorite brand of beer and ale in a new kind of bottle that requires no deposit and never has to be returned to the store. Because practically every one of you has known the annoyance caused by empty bottles, I repeat, you can now buy your favorite brand of beer and ale in a new kind of bottle which requires no deposit. This new Anchor Glass one-way, no-deposit bottle is light and compact, easy to carry home, takes up little space in your refrigerator. For more than 100 years, Americans have preferred beer and ale in clean, sanitary glass bottles. So here's a good rule. When buying beer and ale, always demand glass bottles. And remember, you can now buy your favorite beer and ale in a new kind of bottle that requires no deposit and never has to be returned to the store. The new Anchor Glass one-way bottle, a product of Anchor Hocking. The most famous name in glass.
The cops found the stolen money, huh, Casey?
Yeah, Ethelbert. Betty Summers told him where she'd hidden it. She told him everything.
And what she didn't tell, Morris did. After those two former lovebirds started to talk, it was hard to shut them up, because each one of them was blaming the other for the mess they'd gotten into.
I'll bet they blamed one another most for believing the stuff Casey told each one about the other, huh, Miss Williams?
Well, that did seem to be a pretty sore point with them.
What made you figure they was that way about one another, Casey, and that you could bust them up the way you did?
Well,
Casey knows all about love, Ethelbert. He learned from books.
Annie, the vernal equinox will soon be here. Spring. You might let me take you for a drive by the seashore on some moonlit night in spring.
And?
Well, and then if it doesn't rain...
Yeah?
I might show you some things that can't be learned from books.
Oh, Casey, I can hardly wait for spring, moonlight, and guaranteed dry weather.
Say, what? You two are spoofing.
Why, Ethelbert?
I don't approve of spoofing the tender passion. As my sister Edna says, quote, love may not be all it's cracked up to be, but folks who won't give it a try ought to be cracked down on. Unquote, and I got business to attend to.
I'm afraid Ethelbert and Sister Edna have something, Casey.
Yeah, Annie. Afraid they have. It's almost spring.
There's no moonlight, and it's raining.
Well, who cares? Let's go.
Crime Photographer, starring Stotts Cotsworth as Casey, is written by Alonzo Dean Cole. It's brought to you each Thursday by the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation, makers of Fire King Oven Glass, Anchor Glass Containers, Anchor Caps and Closures. All products of Anchor Hocking, the most famous name in glass. Crime Photographer is directed by John Dietz and is based on the fictional character of Flash Gun Casey, created by George Harmon Cox. Original music is by Archie Blyer, and the program features Miss Jan Miner as Anne and John Gibson as Ethelbert. Herman Chittison is the Blue Note pianist. If your child were crippled, you'd do everything in your power for him. Lucky you, your child's all right. But how about your neighbor's child? It's within your power to help him. So buy Easter seals. Help crippled children. This is Tony Marvin saying goodnight for the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, with offices in all principal cities of the United States and Canada. This is PBS, where 99 million people gather every week, the Columbia Broadcasting System. The Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation brings you Crime Photographer.
Ethelbert, how did you ever get that name?
I don't know. There was some argument just before my christening.
So they picked Ethelbert right out of a hat, huh?
No, my aunt was reading some novels. She found that name in it.
Well, it's a good enough name. Well, they might have given you a more famous name.
Did I hear somebody start it?
Start what?
Start to talk about famous names.
Oh. Well, what's your idea of a famous name?
That's easy, Casey. Everyone knows Anchor Hocking, the most famous name in glass. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Tony Marvin. Every week at this time, the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, and its more than 10,000 employees bring you another adventure of Casey, crime photographer, ace cameraman who covers the crime news of a great city. Our adventure for tonight, Fog. Late afternoon, the Blue Note Cafe, and Ethelbert, the head bartender, completes preparations for the crowd of cocktail sippers that will soon come drifting in.
Walter, bring up some more
lemons.
Yeah. Oh, hello, Casey.
Hi, Ethelbert. Hi.
You just coming off a job?
Yeah.
Oh, where's Miss Williams?
At the office. She'll be here in a few minutes. Oh, this has been one of those dull, monotonous days. I'm getting pep today.
Yeah, I kind of feel that way myself. My sister Edna says I ought to take vitamins.
Hello, Ethelbert.
Oh, hello, Miss Williams.
Oh, Casey, wait till you hear what's just happened.
I know. Somebody's fed you a vitamin.
Huh?
What are you all pepped up about,
Oh, I just received an anonymous letter.
Anonymous letter, huh?
Who from? Oh, one of them without any name signed to it.
Yes.
Who from? He said. Well, what's exciting about that?
It contains a tip, a news tip, and it sounds like a big one. Here, take a look.
Well, what's it say?
Read it to him, Casey, but keep it under your hat, Ethelbert.
You know me, Miss Williams.
Typewritten on plain stationery.
Read it.
It says here, Dear Miss Williams, an important news story may break at the Pellhaven estate of Willis J. Baldwin tomorrow. As your society editor will know, a ball is to be held there late in the evening at which Mrs. Baldwin will wear her famous diamond necklace. If you want an exclusive front-page story, arrive around 6 p.m., and say nothing to the police, the Baldwins, or anybody about this letter.
We ain't nobody.
Which the writer, who must be anonymous, urges you to destroy.
Well, isn't that something?
It's something, all right, but what?
Casey, it's a tip that somebody's going to try to steal those diamonds.
That's the way it sounds to me.
To show this to City Desk, Annie?
Yeah, right after I read it. Burks assigned us to follow it up.
Well, we covered together.
Mm-hmm.
I've read about Mrs. Baldwin's diamond necklace, Casey. It's said to be worth over $1 million.
Yeah.
Casey, who do you suppose sent this letter?
Well, how should I know? What I'm wondering about, Annie, is why was it sent to you? This kind of a tip is seldom sent to a gal reporter.
I never had one just like it before.
We're to be at the Baldwin's 50-room suburban cottage at 6 tomorrow night.
How are we going to crash into their place at dinner time?
Look, I'll tell you what. I'll phone Mrs. Baldwin and give her a yarn of some kind.
Oh, you know her?
Well, I've taken pictures of her, news pictures. Have you ever met the Baldwins or anybody who's intimate with them, Annie?
Oh, I've interviewed the Count de la Fere.
Who's the Count de la Fere?
One of those ornamental slickers with a foreign title. Who gets around the high cost of living by being a perpetual house guest of the oh-so-rich and idle. I think he's staying with the Baldwins now.
Yeah, well, Willis J. Baldwin's supposed to be a tough, shrewd guy. He's not the type who puts up with lounge lizards.
Well, Count Raymond de la Fere may be Mrs. Baldwin's special friend.
Yeah. Well, look, I'll go over to the phone booth, put in a call for Mrs. Baldwin, Annie. See if I can make us a date. Thanks very much, Mrs. Baldwin. Yeah, we'll be there at 6. Goodbye.
What? Did you get her, Casey?
Yeah, everything's all set for 6.
Oh, swell. What excuse did you give her?
Well, I said we wanted to come early so I could take shots at the final preparations for the ball. Incidentally, that letter's right about one important item, Annie. She is going to wear the diamond necklace tomorrow night.
You asked
Well,
her?
just offhandedly. I said I'd like to take some special pictures if she wore it, and she said she meant to.
If the letter's right about that, it's probably right about everything else.
We'll see, pal. Annie, I still can't figure out, though, why that letter was sent to you.
Can't you drive just a little faster, Casey? It's after 6, and we're late.
I can't help it, Annie. I can't help it. I can't see it. I try to do any speeding through this fog, we might wind up in a hospital.
Must be close to the water. Hear that foghorn?
Yeah. That's the one on McBurney's Point.
Oh. Why didn't we check the weather reports and find out we'd run into a pea soup fog, and then we could have started earlier and
Stop worrying, Annie. We're at the edge of the Baldwin estate right now.
Oh, that high wall
That's
there?
right, yeah. It completely surrounds the place. Some years ago, an attempt was made to kidnap Willis Baldwin, and a couple of guys are taking pot shots at him, so now he goes in for walls and armed guards.
Who took shots at him?
Oh, some guys he busted on the stock market. He plays rough down there, even under the SEC.
Hey, Casey, there's an armored car coming out that gate.
Yeah, that's right. I must have just delivered the diamonds.
Do we go in that gate?
Yep. After we stop and give the keeper our names. There he is.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. I'm Casey, Morning Express. This is Miss Williams. Here's my press card.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you.
Oh, he obviously is one of the armed guards.
Oh, yeah, there's a dozen or more on the place. Not counting Big Tim Blake, Baldwin's personal bodyguard.
This doesn't seem to me like a good place to try any robberies. Wish I could see something of the grounds, but the fog's so thick and black.
Yeah, a really slick crook may have done something you wish we had done, Annie. Checked weather warnings.
You mean
This fog would be a great help in getting away.
Oh, yeah.
Now, here's the house.
Oh, well, it's a regular castle.
Yeah.
Oh, there's another guard.
Good evening.
Good evening, Miss Williams and Mr. Casey.
Yes, sir. I just got word from the gateman. May I take care of your car,
Yeah,
sir?
thanks. Come on, Annie.
The butler will announce you. He's coming now.
Yeah, I see.
Hey, Casey, I know that butler.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm sure I do, but I can't remember where I...
Here he is.
You're the people from the Morning Express.
Yeah.
Follow me, please.
His voice is familiar, too, Casey, and he gave me a funny look, did you know?
Fleming? Is that Mr. Casey?
Yes, Mrs. Baldwin.
Well, I'm very glad to see you.
Mighty nice of you to let us barge in on you this early, Mrs. Baldwin.
Not at all. This, of course, is Miss Williams, the reporter you said you'd bring with you.
Yes.
How do you do, Mrs. Baldwin?
Nice to know you, my dear. Come into the library. We have something there that will interest both of you. Close the door, Fleming, and keep out that awful fog.
Yes, Mrs. Baldwin.
The new butler. Not very experienced. I have to remind him of everything.
Well, I've seen him somewhere.
What are we to see in your library, Mrs. Baldwin?
The necklace you want to photograph. It was brought here from the bank only a few minutes ago. My husband and a guest are standing guard over it.
It is altogether magnificent, Mr. Baldwin.
It should be. For what I paid for it, Count. Oh, Helen.
Miss Williams, may I present my husband?
How do you do, Miss Williams?
Mr. Baldwin.
And Le Comte de la Fère?
I believe this little newspaper lady and I have met before.
It's nice of you to remember me, Count de la Fère.
And this is Mr. Casey.
Oh, yeah, Casey.
Privileged to know you, monsieur.
Mr. Baldwin, Count.
My wife tells me you want to take some pictures of her necklace, Casey. It's over there on the table. I was just showing it to De La Fère. In case you'd like to stick it in your pocket, Big Tim there won't let you.
Oh, Willis.
Oh, the man knows I'm only kidding, Helen?
Sure, Mr. Baldwin. How are you, Tim?
Hello, Casey.
Oh, you two know each other?
Oh, yeah. Since long before Tim went into the bodyguard business.
Back in the days when I was a cop, boss.
You give Casey an okay, Tim?
He's okay.
Oh, then we let him get real close to the necklace, huh? Guess you'll want a good look at it, too, Miss Williams. Women usually do.
Oh, simply... Oh, I've never seen anything so gorgeous, Mrs. Baldwin.
It is nice, isn't it?
Mr. Baldwin tells me, and this necklace is the greatest number of perfectly matched first water diamonds set in any single example of the jeweler's art, Miss Williams.
Oh,
And it is worth... the amount is staggering.
Any man could live high, wide, and handsome for a lifetime on what this necklace is worth, De La Fère.
So I imagine.
But he'd have to steal it or steal my wife, whom I gave it to, and neither of those things can be done while I'm around.
I'm sure it would be quite impossible.
Quite impossible.
Would you like to take your pictures now, Mr. Casey?
Yes, Mrs. Baldwin, thank you. I'm surprised there aren't detectives from your insurance company here to watch this necklace. They're usually around.
These diamonds are not insured.
What? Not insured?
Except for a few days each year, they're kept in the bank vault. And when Mrs. Baldwin wears them, as she will tonight, my own employees, like Tim here, keep them well protected.
I never take my eyes off them, boss.
I'll shoot a picture of them lying here on the table.
No, go ahead. Where's that dumb new butler, Helen? 15 minutes ago, I told him to bring in cocktails.
Well,
Is all right?
Oh, well, here he comes now, Willis.
Why did you take so long, Fleming?
I'm sorry, sir. Some matters came up today.
All right, you're here at last. Bring that liquor wagon over here.
There's one picture.
Serve the cocktails, Fleming.
Yes, Mrs. Baldwin.
No, I don't like to drink in half darkness. Why have you got all the shades drawn, Helen?
Well, you know I always draw them when there's fog, Willis. It's so dreary to look outside.
Oh, then let's have something besides just a few table lamps on in here. Turn on the main lights, Fleming.
Yes, Mr. Baldwin.
I like to see the people I'm talking to.
What's that? What have you done to the lights?
I told you to turn more on, Fleming, not to switch them all off.
I haven't touched the switch, sir. I hadn't reached it. Now it's so dark I
Now
can't
get
find
some
it.
lights on in here. Tim.
Yeah?
I found the switch, Willis.
Well, now that we can see again. What?
Mr. Baldwin, the diamonds!
They are gone.
Tim!
I was standing right here beside him, boss, but I couldn't see him.
I know who took them.
Miss Williams.
Now I know who that butler is, Casey. He's the notorious jewel thief, Chris Masters.
You're not going to rap me for this.
Stop that fellow,
He's jumped through the window.
I'll get him.
Shoot! He's running away, disappearing in the fog.
He's out of sight. I can't see him anymore. I'm going after him, boss.
I'm coming with you, Tim. That man has the diamonds. Helen, give orders to close the gates and guard the wall.
I'll take care of it, Willis. Come with me, Raymond.
I'm with you, Mrs. Baldwin.
Well, everybody's gone and left us,
Oh, come on, Casey. Let's get in on the chase.
Oh, well, no hurry.
No, hurry.
No.
A man's out there with $1 million worth of stolen diamonds, and you
The guy you accused didn't get those diamonds.
I tell you, I recognized him as Chris Masters. He switched off those lights.
Nobody switched off any lights. Look at the cord on this table lamp here.
Oh, it's been cut in two.
Yeah. Interesting, isn't it? Now I know why you got that anonymous letter, Annie.
What?
The fog seems to be lifting a little. Oh, well, let's go outside and join the manhunt. Huh?
Casey, will you tell me what you mean
When we
by...
get outside, Annie, in the fog. The fog that's lifting.
You hear a lot about modern industrial design with its twin ideals of beauty and usefulness. But nowhere is this better exemplified than in the creation of a new kind of dinnerware called jadeite. And it's spelled Jadeite. Jadeite is really beautiful. It has the color of fine jade and the texture of rare porcelain. But jadeite is also unbelievably strong. It resists chipping and cracking and is so heat-proof you can safely put it in a hot oven. And with all these advantages, jadeite actually costs less than the most ordinary uninspired dinnerware. For instance, a big jadeite platter costs only 25 cents in open stock, and a 35-piece dinner service for 6 people is priced at less than $5. Ask for jadeite at your favorite chain store, department store, hardware store, or at other stores selling chinaware and glass. A set of jadeite makes an attractive gift, and it's an easy way to replenish your own supply of dinnerware. Jadeite is the newest triumph of anchor hocking. The most famous name in glass.
State covers a lot of territory, Annie. I think Chris Masters will be fairly hard to find.
Casey, I want to know why you think he didn't take those diamonds.
Okay, Annie. Well, it's because he had no chance to take them. The person who sent you that anonymous letter saw to that.
The person
Yeah,
who
that
sent-
letter bothered me. It just wasn't right. When we got here, I recognized Masters under his butler suit and his dyed hair and phony English accent a few minutes after I saw him.
You did?
Sure I did. Yes, and I was sure he recognized me and you. He wouldn't take a chance on lifting those diamonds with us in the house, Annie.
Go on.
Someone who was in that library a few minutes ago knew before tonight that Fleming, the butler, was really Masters, the jewel thief. And they figured correctly, I imagine, that he was planning to steal the Baldwin necklace. Well, that someone decided to get it first, to let Masters take the blame. But this someone didn't want to be the person who pointed the finger at Masters, because that wouldn't look so good. So you were brought out here to make the accusation.
The article I wrote on Masters after my interview with him several years ago was featured under my byline.
That's right. By Ann Williams.
And that meant that I'd be sure to recognize Masters. Wait a minute. He says nobody switched off those lights?
Yeah, that's right. The fuse was blown.
The fuse was blown?
Yeah. The cord on that table lamp, Annie, had been cut with a scissors and knife, causing a short circuit. When the lights went out, Masters was the one person in the room who I'm sure wasn't near the cord, because he's the one person I was watching. It's that cut lamp cord that makes me certain somebody besides Masters was after the diamonds.
Well, if the lights were short-circuited, how could Mrs. Baldwin turn them on?
Well, she switched on the main lights, Annie, the wall and the ceiling brackets. They're on a different circuit, apparently.
Oh, well, why did Chris Masters do a run-out the moment I told who he was? That seems to prove
Well,
that
it
he
only
had-
proves that whoever sent you that letter did another smart piece of figuring. Annie, didn't you mention in your story on Masters that as a jewel thief he lost his head, kind of, when things got hot, and he always did a run-out?
Mm-hmm. And if I hadn't accused Masters and he hadn't run, Mr. Baldwin would have called the police, and everyone in the room would have been searched.
Uh-huh. Now the thief has had a chance to get the diamonds off his person and into some hiding place somewhere.
But then the someone who planned all this is either...
Count de la Fur, or whatever his name is, Big Tim Blake, or Mr. or Mrs. Baldwin.
Well, the Baldwins wouldn't steal their own diamonds.
Oh, wait a minute, Annie. People have been known to stage phony thefts of their own property.
Well, sure, to collect insurance, but Mr. Baldwin said the necklace wasn't insured.
Yeah, that's right.
What do you think about Count de la Fere?
Well, $1 million worth of sparklers might be very attractive to a guy like him.
Baldwin seemed a little jealous of
Yeah, I
him.
caught that.
And you know the bodyguard, Tim Blake, sir.
Well, I don't know Tim Blake well enough to eliminate him as a suspect.
He said he'd been a cop. Why did he leave the force?
For the good of the service, the commissioner figured Tim was too willing to use a gun. He shot up a couple of guys that maybe shouldn't have been shot up.
Well, be no way of finding out who really got the diamonds if he or she hasn't already hidden them.
Oh, he or she hasn't hidden them, Annie.
Well, a minute ago, you said...
I said the thief has had the chance, but he didn't take it.
Well,
you see, the person who got those diamonds, Annie, wasn't the person who planned on getting them.
oh, what are you talking about?
Annie, when the would-be thief reached for that necklace in the dark, he or she got a great big surprise. It wasn't there.
It wasn't there. Well, how do you know?
Because I'd reached first.
You?
Yeah. Meet Raffles Casey, the $1 Million Bandit.
Well, what have you done with the necklace?
It's in my pocket.
In your pocket?
Sure.
Oh, Casey.
And everybody but you and me, including the would-be thief, is sure that it's in Chris Masters' pocket.
Oh.
Annie, it won't surprise me if the smart would-be thief does something very foolish very soon. Fog's almost gone, Annie.
Mm-hmm.
You can see pretty well now.
Yeah. Casey, all our suspects seem to be looking for Masters individually. During the past 15 minutes, we've seen the Count, Big Tim, and Baldwin, each of them alone.
We haven't seen Mrs. Baldwin. That means she's alone, too.
Mm. Oh, Casey, you're taking an awful chance with those diamonds in your pocket. If they were found on you, no one would believe
Yeah,
that
they'd
you
think
didn't...
the worst, all right, wouldn't they, huh? But, Annie, this is the first time I've ever had $1 million worth of anything in my pocket. That kind of makes me feel... No. It's funny. I don't feel any different than when I was honest and...
Hey, Casey.
Conscious.
Yeah, over there.
Come on, Annie.
Okay.
Boss, I think I got him.
That's Big Tim's voice.
Yeah, I did get him, boss. Come here.
There he is, beside those trees right there.
You got Masters, Tim?
Yeah, the thief. Oh, it's you, Casey. Hey, boss, where's Mr. Baldwin?
I'm coming, Tim. You guys stick to your post. Don't fly over here.
Masters is lying behind those evergreens.
Let's have a look.
Hey, you shot Masters, Tim?
Yes, Mr. Baldwin. I heard a movement amongst those trees, and then I saw a moving figure. It kept on moving after I told it to stop, so I blazed away.
Hey, you're shooting. What has happened?
Tim here just shot our thief, Count.
That butler, Fleming.
Did you search this guy before you started shooting, Tim?
What chance would I have to search him, Casey? I just
someone
told
has searched him. Take a look at your ex-butler, Mr. Baldwin.
Yeah, I see.
His clothes are all torn.
Yeah, all his pockets that aren't torn inside out are ripped open.
Well, I didn't search him.
You didn't shoot him either, Tim.
I didn't shoot him.
No. I can't find any bullet holes in him.
I see none.
This guy was strangled to death.
Who did it?
Maybe the moving figure you saw was the someone who did it, Tim. You fired at it from a distance and then found this fellow lying here and concluded your bullets had shot him.
Yeah, that must have been what happened.
Who did kill that man?
Count de la Fere, I have a kind of a half idea.
You have, Casey?
Yes, Mr. Baldwin.
I have more than a half idea. I just found something near Master's body that...
What'd you find, boss?
Let us see.
I found something that tells me the strangler was you, Count.
Let me go.
Count de la Fere?
You're crazy, Mr. Baldwin. Help me, this man. Let me go.
Oh, break it up, Baldwin. You got him down. Now break it up.
All right. But don't let that fellow get away, Tim.
No, I won't, boss.
Here's what I found beside Master's hand, Casey. This black coat button. Then I saw there was a button missing from De La Fere's dinner jacket. Look, this button I found matches the others on his coat.
You lie. That button you pulled from my coat now when you take me.
A jury won't see it that way when you're tried for Master's murder.
This man is mad.
Take it easy, Count. Take it easy. Why should De La Fere be tried for murder, Mr. Baldwin?
Because he killed Masters.
This dead guy was a fugitive suspected of stealing your wife's necklace. If Tim had shot him, as we thought at first, you wouldn't have called Tim a murderer.
If I had choked that thief, I would be a fool to deny it, and I'm not a fool. But I was never near the man.
You deny it because of the search you made of Master's clothes. You wanted the diamonds he stole.
Search me, somebody. I have no diamonds.
You've had time to hide them someplace. Take him to the police. Tim.
Wait a minute.
You're butting into this too much,
I don't
Casey.
think so, Mr. Baldwin. On the evidence of that button, you're formally accusing Count de la Fere
of killing this thief, Chris Masters, in order to hijack the stolen diamonds.
Oh, now it's Chris Masters, huh? Huh? When Miss Williams recognized your phony butler tonight, she mentioned his real name only once and very rapidly. You knew who your butler really was before tonight.
That's crazy. You can't prove that.
Maybe I can. Tim was a good shot. When he fired at the moving figure, he didn't miss completely. He put a hole through your coat sleeve.
Hole?
Yeah. Look. Here, right here.
Let me go, Tim.
And now, Casey, hold everything, Tim. Take a look at this.
Yeah, it looks like a bullet hole.
It is a bullet hole. This man tried to accuse me of what he himself has done.
You murdered Chris Masters to hijack property of your wife's that you'd meant to steal.
I'll try to prove that. You just try. Let me go.
Okay. Baldwin, you've attempted a theft tonight. You've killed a man. You've tried to frame the counts. When a guy like that can't be brought to book in one way, sometimes he can in another. Tim, as an ex-cop, wouldn't you say your boss was guilty if you found the stolen necklace on him? Yeah. It's your duty to see if he has it, Tim. All right, I'll hold him again.
I haven't those diamonds, you fool. Take the hand off my mouth.
Go for his pockets, Skip. He's giving me quite a battle here. He's afraid to have you search it.
This will cost me my job, Casey.
It's your duty.
Okay, I'll do it, but... Casey, the diamond.
There you are. You did find it on him, Tim.
Oh, Casey.
This is a frame-up. A frame-up.
Tell that to the cops, Baldwin. You and the count take care of him, Tim.
Come on, Baldwin. I'm working for the law again.
I will help you take good care of him, Tim, after what you tried to do to me.
It's a frame-up. It's a frame-up.
Well, Annie, let's go along. I'm going to get some pictures now.
Casey, you slipped that necklace in his pocket while you were struggling with him.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Annie. Just like he pulled a button off of Delafaire's coat. You know, Annie, when you can't trap a crook in any other way, one good frame deserves another.
We'll join the crowd at the Blue Note in just a moment. Would you please give me your attention for 1 minute? I have a message of importance for the millions of people in the United States who are listening to this program. Listen closely, please. You can now buy your favorite brand of beer and ale in the new one-way, no-deposit bottle. Now, let me repeat that. You can now buy your favorite brand of beer and ale in a new kind of glass bottle that requires no deposit and that never has to be returned to the store. This new bottle is light in weight and very compact. It's easy to carry home and takes up less room in your refrigerator. You pay no deposit on the new Anchor glass bottle, and you do not have to return it. Remember, it's glass, clean and sanitary glass. For more than 100 years, Americans have preferred beer and ale in glass bottles. So I suggest that when you buy beer or ale, you demand it in the new Anchor glass one-way, no-deposit bottles. Product of Anchor Hocking. The most famous name in glass.
Well, Baldwin confessed after the cops went to work on him, huh, Casey?
Yeah, good thing, too, Ethelbert. Actually, I couldn't have stuck to my frame-up in court.
Mm-mm. Baldwin needed money to pull himself out of the deep hole he got into in the stock market. That big estate, in fact, everything he had was mortgaged to the rafters. Only his wife's necklace was free and clear. He preferred to steal it rather than ask her for it.
Yeah, because he was pretty sure she wouldn't have given it to him.
Yeah. Why did he try to frame that Count, whatever his name is?
Well, first to cover himself, of course, and then second because he thought his wife was in love with the guy.
Baldwin had a big nerve to be jealous after some of the things he'd been doing.
What things?
Mostly blondes.
Yeah? Blondes?
Oh. The cops have been digging into his private life.
And found blondes, huh? Wow. Tell me more.
Well, there was a little chick named Doris.
Oh, darn, there's the bar phone. I'll be right back. Uno Cafe, Ethelbert speaking.
Wow.
Huh? You'll have to speak louder. I can't understand you. Huh? What?
Casey?
What's his name?
Huh?
The fog is entirely gone.
Are you in the same room?
When we came in here, I noticed the stars were up.
Yeah, I noticed that too,
Louder,
Annie.
please.
Spring's kind of in the air, too.
Mm-hmm. You know, it's a nice night to be outside.
Yeah, it is. It's a swell night to be outside.
Oh, no.
Well, what are we doing here?
You know, we'd be crazy if we stayed here, Annie. Come on, Annie, let's go.
We're going, Casey.
Oh, mister, you got the wrong number. Tell me about them blonde. Walter, where did Casey and Miss Williams go?
Out.
Out?
Out.
Oh, well, of all the... Walter, bring up some more lemons.
Crime Photographer, starring Stotts Cotsworth as Casey, is written by Alonzo Dean Cole. It is brought to you each Thursday by the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation, makers of Fire King Oven Glass, Anchor Glass Containers, Anchor Caps and Closures, all products of Anchor Hocking. the most famous name in glass. Crime Photographer is directed by John Dietz and is based on the fictional character of Flash Gun Casey, created by George Harmon Cox. Original music is by Archie Blyer, and the program features Miss Jan Miner as Anne and John Gibson as Ethelbert. Herman Tredison is the Blue Note pianist. The Girl Scouts are celebrating their 36th birthday this week. Your time and interest is the best birthday present they could get. If you can spare just a few hours a week, offer your services by calling your local Girl Scout office. This is Tony Marvin saying goodnight for the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, with offices in all principal cities of the United States and Canada. This is PBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.